Citi Field in New York, Pix 11 Sports presents New York Mets baseball today, and the Mets play the Cincinnati Reds. Well, whether your dad is a third-generation big league player getting ready to get the fourth generation going, or whether you're just a dad in any walk of life, it's a day for celebrating fathers today. Fathers and sons and fathers and daughters at the ballpark on Father's Day 2012. And a pleasant good afternoon and a happy Father's Day to you. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez, and special guest star Keith Hernandez with us from Citi Field on Keith Hernandez Bobblehead Day and Father's Day. Congratulations on your bobblehead. It's a beautiful likeness.
It's the bobblehead that launched 1,000 ships.
I'll bet. Today the Mets play the Cincinnati Reds in the finale of their three-game series. The Reds have taken the first two. And we haven't seen a lot of great teams in the National League so far this year, but the Reds may be poised to be one of them. They've got a lot of things going for them.
Well, you know, it all starts at the top. Dusty Baker, the manager, he's won everywhere he's managed. And also Walt Jocketty, who came over from the Cardinals as a general manager. They put together this fine team. They've got probably the best bullpen in the National League. Joey Votto, the MVP, batting champion, a Gold Glover at first base, young Jay Bruce. They've got a good core nucleus and a team for the future. They got young players, and this is a team that's going to continue to improve.
And, of course, they've got the best bullpen in the National League as well. For the Mets today, trying to cool them down is Chris Young making his third start, and last time out of Tampa Bay, he got his first win in more than a year.
Well, he was victimized by the dome down there in Tampa Bay at Tropicana Field. 3 balls were lost early, the first 2 innings of that ballgame. He pitched out of it. So, you know, he's not throwing hard. He didn't have command of his breaking ball last time out, but he got 5 innings in, got the W, his first win, so he's looking to build on that.
And on the other side for the Reds, their ace, Johnny Cueto, a guy the Mets have handled pretty well.
Well, he, a lifetime against the Mets, is 0-3 and an ERA well over 6. He has had trouble with the Mets, but he's having an all-star year. 7-3 on the year. He is the ace of this squad, so it's a good pitching matchup today.
So Chris Young for the Mets, Johnny Cueto for the Reds on Keith Hernandez Bobblehead Day, Father's Day at Citi Field. Come on back. All the action coming your way on Pix 11. Mets baseball is brought to you by Chevrolet. Chevy has 10 models offering an EPA estimated 30 highway miles per gallon or better. By the New York Times. Subscribe to the New York Times today. By Infiniti, luxury cars that deliver inspired performance. By Dunkin' Donuts, America runs on Dunkin'. By Kia Motors. To learn more, visit kia.com. And by Clear 4G, take it with you internet. Clear the way internet should be. Celebrate the Johan Santana no-hitter with a special ticket offer tomorrow night when the Mets host the Orioles at 7:10 p.m. Tickets are as low as $5.70 for number 57. These specially priced tickets go on sale tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. at Mets.com. Around the Majors brought to you by Clear 4G Take It With You Internet. Urban Santana perfect for 6 2/3 through a one-hitter. Justin Upton the only hit as he blanked the Diamondbacks 2-0. Jason Hamill no hit for 6 2/3 innings, gave up only a single and beat Atlanta 5-0. Jason Hayward had the only hit. On the other end, Tim Lincecum now 2-8, a 6.19 ERA as he got blasted by the Mariners 7-4 last night on the same day that the Mariners called up Oliver Perez. Welcome back, Ollie. Well, Keys to the Game brought to you by Cadillac on the web at CadillacTristate.com.
What's happened to all the hitters this year? My goodness, this is the Cadillac Keys to the Game. Well, obviously, we said in the open they've been beating up on Cueto over the years. Keep it up for sure. And Chris Young, his second career start at Citi Field. The Mets have been playing well at home. This is your home ballpark. You want to take advantage of your home stands and get back in the groove. Yesterday they had a tough time getting the 2-out hit, but I can't complain on the whole in the season. The Mets have been terrific with getting 2-out base hits.
Mets have scored 141 runs with 2 outs, more than any team in the majors. Terry Collins hoping for a victory before the Mets welcome in the Orioles tomorrow. Mets and Reds. First pitch coming right up. Cadillac. Visit CadillacTristate.com to view attractive lease and finance offers and to find a dealer near you. Well, in the rotunda, they are selling history. Nohan. That'll last forever, won't it?
You think?
Well, speaking of fathers and children, there's a winner for you. Eli Manning throwing out the first pitch. Daughter in tow. David Wright making a special appearance, catching the first pitch. You know, you got to get royalty on the mound for David to be out there catching the first pitch.
I hear that. Yeah, I hear that. Look at Eli.
Let's check out the Reds starting lineup for this afternoon, brought to you by Toyota. When you choose Toyota, you get a lot for less. Interesting that 3 former Mets utility men are on the lineup card for Dusty Baker today. Wilson Valdez, Miguel Cairo, and Willie Harris, all grouped around those big hitters, Votto and Phillips and Bruce, in the middle of that Cincinnati lineup. The Reds with a 7-3 win on Friday night, a 4-win win yesterday. And Dusty Baker's team trying to become the first team to sweep the Mets at Citi Field this season.
Well, there's Chris Young, His third start of the year, 1-0. It was nice getting that win under his belt, although it looked like he was going to get sabotaged down in Tampa. Those 15 hits and 10 innings pitched. Remember, 3 of them were the pop-ups, the fly balls in shallow outfield that were lost in that white dome ceiling at Tropicana Field. So he pitched wonderfully. In his last outing, did not quite have command of his breaking stuff, but he pitched around it and got himself his win. And the Dunkin' Donuts. I just had a nice Dunkin' Donut coffee just around 5 minutes ago. That's great coffee.
That should perk you up.
And we'll go right segue right to the Mets defense. The 27 earned runs this season. That's the middle of the pack. I get that's 6 most. That's too many. Come on, guys, shape up. All in all, they've been playing good D.
Well, Terry Collins' team, 4 games over 500 right now, 4.5 games out in the National League East. The Mets have gotten help the last couple of days from the Yankees, of all people, as they've beaten the Nationals the first 2 games of that series, including that 14-inning game yesterday. It's funny, you know, Bryce Harper's made such an impression on everybody so quickly that a lot was made yesterday of the fact that he went 0 for 7 in that 14-inning game. Most 19-year-olds, who would notice if they went 0 for 7?
Well, I got news for Bryce. If he plays extra inning games like that, he's going to get a few of those over his career, but I'm sure the majority will be 4 for 7s or 3 for 7s. A nice day at the ballpark. He's really quite a talent.
Big crowd gathering here today. Everybody wants your bobblehead.
Well, they're only human.
Get in line. Zach Cozart will lead things off for the Reds. Cozart 3 for 10 in this series, and over the last 11 games hitting .353, so the rookie shortstop has been hot. Chris Young's first pitch of the afternoon is a fastball for a call strike, and we're underway. Young's third start of the year, coming back from anterior capsule surgery in his right shoulder, the same surgery that Johan Santana has bounced back from, and he gets Cozart to pop up. Quintanilla out, Nieuwenhuis in, and Nieuwenhuis makes the grab for the first out of the game.
Well, David always does this. This is always his little routine before the first pitch of every game, and he has fun with that. I guess the umpire's making light of it over there. Third base umpire Jim Reynolds.
Hey, as long as he's ready to go.
David's always ready to go. He's got his socks up, his pants up, showing his socks today.
Here's Wilson Valdez, who has started all 3 games in this series in center field. There are those nice blue socks, no black. And Valdez takes a strike. Valdez had never started a game in center field in his life before this series, and he's looked as though he's played there his whole career. Went back on a couple of balls nicely yesterday. And he hits one out to center field. Andres Torres has a long run back, and he gets there to make the catch. 2 out. And Chris Young playing true to form early in this game, getting fly balls from the first 2 hitters. Chris Young, among all active pitchers, has the lowest ground ball to fly ball ratio. Almost 2 fly balls for every ground ball in his career.
Well, that's his game. He knows how to pitch up above the letters, and then he has that hard curveball over the top, up and down the ladder.
Now Joey Votto, and he takes a strike. Votto 2 for 7 in this series, hitting at .359, leads the league in both on-base percentage and slugging percentage. And after all, what else is there? Nothing at 2 to Votto.
He didn't even step out of the box. Look, he's ready to hit.
Wouldn't you be? Got 28 doubles already this year. 28 doubles. He's on pace for about 70. Pops that foul, and it's still 0-2.
He feels very good at the plate. You can just see the confidence just exuding from him. And there's Brandon Phillips in the on-deck circle, who really probably isn't a cleanup hitter in the true sense of the word.
I think Dusty Baker likes to hit him between Votto and Bruce to break up the lefties. Murphy playing in the outfield, but can't make the diving stop, and Votto's got a hit, takes a hard turnaround first and holds up there as Torres picks it up. And so Votto has a 2-out single, the first base runner of the game.
Well, there's a reason why Votto is a batting champion. And look at his high fastball. Look what he does. He gets on top of it. Doesn't play the game that Young tries to get hitters to get into, hit the ball in the air. He just really came over with his top hand.
So 2 out and a runner aboard, and now Brandon Phillips. Phillips 2 for 9 in this series, including a 2-run homer on Friday night against Dylan G. And he takes high for ball one.
Well, here's the freeze frame on contact. And what you don't see, just there is the top hand coming over. You see that? That's what got that bat on top of that ball. Strong wrists.
Phillips has been swinging a hot bat over the last few weeks. And he takes it wide, 2-0. Phillips 9 home runs, 40 runs batted in, hitting .289 after a slow start. Jay Bruce, who's had a huge impact in this series, homering in each game, waiting on deck. Chris Young now 33 years old, and when he pitches, he is incredibly effective. The problem is getting him to the mound more than 4 or 5 times a year. And this is popped up. Out goes Murphy, and comes Duda to call. And Duda puts it away to retire the side. So 3 fly ball outs for Chris Young. He puts up a 0 in the first. Mets come to bat against Johnny Cueto when we come back. When you choose Toyota, you get a lot for less. Omar Quintanilla moved up to the number 2 spot for the first time. Mets get 7 left-handed bats in the lineup today against Johnny Cueto, who's awfully tough on right-hand hitters.
Well, that's the reason why, Gary. You look at it, he's 195 with no home runs given up to right-hand hitters. Lefties hitting 300 against him this year. And remember, he's having a great year with all 5 home runs. And really, it's amazing he's only given up 5 home runs in 87 2/3 innings pitching in that ballpark at Bandbox in Cincinnati.
Here's Kirk Neuenhuis to lead things off. Neuenhuis playing left field today. 1 for 8 in this series. That one was a home run on Friday night. Hitting at .291 in his rookie season. And Kirk takes the fastball in for a strike. And Cueto, ever since he came back from injury last year, has adopted this Louis Tiant type turn where he turns towards second base before he delivers home.
Well, he's got the good slider right there. You just saw it, down and in. Good changeup's always been an effective pitch. What he's developed of late, Gary, and against the left-handers is that fastball he can start at their left-hander's hip, and it comes out over the inside corner.
That Greg Maddux type two-seamer.
And I think he gets that action with that kind of turn. Neuenhuis goes down, another breaking ball out of the strike zone.
So 3 pitches, and Cueto strikes out Neuenhuis for the first out.
Got to make the breaking ball get up. Easier said than done. Neuenhuis, a young hitter, still is learning as he goes along. And we'll take a look at the Dunkin' Donuts Reds defense. Well, Avado, the Gold Glover. Phillips, of course, at second base, a Gold Glover. So they've got some guys out there flashing the leather.
Here's Omar Quintanilla hitting second in the order. He's done that a number of times in his career, but his first time as a Met. And he takes a strike. Quintanilla hitting .288, .393 on base percentage, outflanking by far any offensive numbers he's put up in the past. And Omar takes a fastball for a strike, and it's 0-2.
So there you go. 90, 91 mile an hour fastball. Everybody says, oh, not hard enough. Baloney. 90, 91's plenty. You got good secondary pitches. That's throwing plenty hard enough.
Throwing nothing but strikes early on. And Quintanilla fouls it back. Cueto last year missed the early part of the season because of some biceps problems. Came back in the middle of May and then had his best year. You see his lifetime numbers there. Last year he was 9-5 with a 2.31 ERA. And when he went down in the middle of September with a lat injury, he was actually leading the National League in ERA. Wound up 6 innings shy of qualifying. And just a shade behind Clayton Kershaw for the league lead. And then he's responded this year, and he's pitched just as well. In fact, if you combine last year and this year, he has the best earned run average in the major leagues at 2.36.
So he looks very sharp, though, so far in these first two batters.
And the 1-2, Quintanilla takes it up and away, 2-2.
You know, well over 100 years this game's been around, and nothing's changed, really. You know, there's still the same pitches that are needed, the same way, the philosophies to pitch to get guys out, the same philosophies at hitting. Everybody tries to reinvent the game. The game is pure, it's beautiful.
And there it is on the inside corner, and Cueto has back-to-back strikeouts to start his day.
That's the fastball, and it's almost like watch it start at the knee, freeze the hitter, and then it moves. So look what it did to the hitter, Quintanilla. It's optical illusion that it's coming at your knee or your hip, and it gets the movement to come back over the inside corner. It's a very good pitch.
So 2 out and nobody on. Here's David Wright. David 2 for 6 in this series, has a 7-game hitting streak working. His .357 average is 4th in the National League, 2nd behind Votto in on-base percentage at .461. And the fastball in for a strike. Keith, how distracting is it when a pitcher turns his back to you?
It's not distracting at all. I faced Louis Tiant in spring training with the Red Sox more than a few times. And, you know, your focus is you can't follow the motion, Gary. If you're a hitter and you're following the motion, the elbows, the legs, you're in big trouble. You focus is on the point of release. So you find out where he releases the ball, and that's your focus.
So all the histrionics that precede him, lifting his arm and firing it home, you try to ignore that and just find the ball.
And here it is, too. See, it's still a very smooth motion, so it never bothered me. Much like Louis, it was very smooth. Although Louis had a little more herky-jerky head movement. Tried to deceive you with his head movement. It's the guys like, I don't know if you remember, Doyle Alexander.
Sure.
Oh, my. He had that crazy motion that was all elbows and you name it. And that, to me, was always hard to pick a pitcher up because he didn't have a rhythmic windup, so therefore I couldn't get into rhythm.
2-2 coming to right. And he drives one deep to right center, but playable for Bruce, and he's there to grab it. Side retired. 1-2-3 go the Mets in the opening inning against Johnny Cueto. Rob Kiner joins us in the booth as we go to the second on Father's Day in New York. Mets and Reds, no score. Keith Hernandez bobblehead, Dan. I have to say it's quite a likeness. Yeah, I guess it is a likeness. You're a very friendly guy, and so is your bobblehead.
Yes. Oh, I missed that.
Just making friends wherever you go. Second inning, Chris Young facing Jay Bruce, who's had a home run in each of the first 2 games of this series, and he takes it high for ball 1. Bruce hit the inside the park home run that sent Jason Bay to the sidelines Friday night, then hit that upper deck 3-run shot against John Neese yesterday, and he takes it wide 2-0. And a guy who knows all about home runs, Ralph Kiner, is with us on this Father's Day. Ralph, how you doing?
I'm doing okay, but it's very hard to collect those features of Keith. I mean, you know, it's pretty good in the image.
I couldn't. They even got my profile on my nose. That Roman nose.
Your Roman nose. Yes.
Well, the mustache I thought was excellent.
Only, no, normally bobbleheads are an inexact science as far as being perfect representations of the person they're honoring.
I understand it took about 4 or 5 takes on Keith. Did you hear that rumor?
No, I didn't hear that at all. Did you keep sending him back, Keith, for more work?
He said, no, that's not it. That's not it.
I remember Murph and Ralph's bobblehead, and I thought that was fabulous. A great likeness of Ralph and a great likeness of Murph.
The 2 of us went together. There's no question about that. And I was very happy to be with Murph because he and Lindsey Nelson were great friends and great friends of baseball and did a tremendous job as broadcasters.
Young walks the leadoff hitter Bruce, and now Miguel Cairo will bat. Of course, you and Murph have the broadcast booths here at Citi Field named after you.
You know, one thing about Lindsey Nelson, he, of course, never played baseball. But he was known as a football announcer, but he started out his career as a baseball announcer for the recreated ball games that were broadcast out to California and the West Coast.
Well, I remember Lindsey with the Sunday morning Notre Dame replays.
Always with Notre Dame, he got to that point. Tom Gallery, who was head of NBC, was the guy that really got his career started. And Gallery, of course, was married to Zazu Pitts. And some of you old-timers might know of Zazu in the old days of the movies.
Miguel Cairo playing third base for the Reds today, and Young gets that curveball over for a strike, 0-2. Well, Lindsey also did that. Wasn't there a series of broadcasts maybe in the 40s and 50s, the game of the day that used to be on the radio?
It was called, Gordon McClendon was the guy that broadcast those games. And Lindsey and Bob Murphy both were with the network that were recreated the games.
Double play ball to short, Quintanilla to Murphy, and to first, too late. So the Mets can't turn it over. They settle for the out on Bruce for the first out of the inning.
Well, just not hit hard enough. Off the end of the bat, I believe. Murph makes a nice pivot. Strong throw. Cairo is not particularly fleet of foot. The ball just wasn't hit hard enough.
I love that euphemism of not fleet of foot. He was slow, is what he was.
You got that right, Ralph.
Here's Willie Harris, another former Met. Just 4 hits in 37 at-bats this year, although he had a pinch hit double in the game Friday night. Just called back from the minor leagues on Friday when Drew Stubbs went on the DL. And Harris playing left field today.
Who was the slowest runner in the history of baseball, Major League Baseball?
Was it Ernie Lombardi?
Lombardi.
Ernie Lombardi was the guy.
Did he win a batting championship?
He won a batting championship. If he could have run, he would have won more than one. But he was a catcher and a great catcher, and also won a batting championship.
There are your umpires for today. Vic Carapazza, who was born on Long Island, gets the home plate assignment today. Jim Joyce, the crew chief, with Hoy and Reynolds in between. That's 3 Jims on that crew. That can get confusing.
They used to play Ernie Lombardi way in the outfield grass. It was no stranger. We see all these positionings the Mets take. That's how they played Ernie Lombardi.
He used to love to come to New York, and they always played him so deep, Keith, as you know. And he would always try and beat out a bunt. And when he did, he'd stand on first base and start laughing at everyone because he had played so deep. He had to win. He had to win that race.
Was he a power hitter, Ralph?
He hit with power, yes. He overlapped with his grip, like a golf grip, and he overlapped his fingers, and used that as his way of hitting.
Cairo runs Toley's throw, not in time, as the tag on the helmet knocks Cairo's helmet off, and he has a stolen base, his first of the year.
Well, it's always a problem with the big frame of Chris Young, all 6'10" of him. He's slow getting home to the plate, and Cairo steals it easily. There he goes, good jump, but still.
For his career, Young has given up a stolen base to 91% of attempted base stealers. That's the highest percentage among active pitchers. And Harris takes high. Interestingly enough, the guy on the other side today, Johnny Cueto, has the lowest percentage rate among active pitchers, only 36%, right at the other end of the spectrum. So Cairo in scoring position with 1 out. 3-2 the count to Harris, with Ryan Hannigan, the number 8 hitter, on deck. And Harris goes down swinging on the high fastball. First strikeout of the day for Chris Young.
Got to lay off that pitch. Either that or get on top like Votto did in the first inning.
So 2 out, the catcher Hannigan coming up. Now, you talk about Ernie Lombardi winning a batting title, hit .342 in 1938. Now, Joe Torre maybe wasn't as slow as Ernie Lombardi, but Joe hit .363 one year.
For the Cardinals. That's the year he lost all that weight. Joe went on the diet and played third base for the Cardinals.
But he didn't get fast all of a sudden.
But he was faster than he was when he was a load.
Hannigan drives one to left center. Over comes Torres to pick it off. And that retires the side. A walk and 1 left. Mets have come to bat at the bottom of the second with no score. The top of the second inning.
Well, they cannot put the ball where they want to all the time. Look at the totally outside and up. Where is it? Not up enough, and right down the middle, a little towards the outer half, and Hannigan just too quick. He got toward the end of the bat. That really was a pitch to hit. But you know what? You can get away with your number 1, your fastball, with a mistake. Get away with it more than you can by hanging a curveball. You get hurt far more often with a hanger than you do with a fastball.
You know, Keith, one thing about pitchers, they always say, well, he hit a mistake. You hit a lot of good pitches there for home runs, and also base hits and doubles and singles that are not mistakes. They're intended to be where they were pitched. So the nomenclature of baseball is exaggerated in that spot.
Yeah, sometimes you'll hear it said when a pitcher, gives up a 3-run homer, nothing else, he made one mistake. Well, he might have made 20 mistakes and gotten away with 19.
It's right. I mean, it's just a way out for a pitcher to cover up his good ones and bad ones.
Lucas Duda's reached base safely in 19 straight games, and he takes a strike from Johnny Cueto, 1-2.
I once asked Tom Seaver, and we're going to have Tom here later in the game in the booth. I said, Tom, when you were on your game, when you went out there and you had it all working and you threw, say, a 3-hit gem or whatever, how many mistakes did you make in that game, you think? And he told me 3. That's pretty amazing over like 125 pitches.
Seaver was very scientific about his hitting. I mean, he probably did miss only 3.
Yeah. I mean, that's just, to me, it's incredible. And I totally believe Tom.
That's why his number's on the wall.
That's right. I mean, I faced Tom. That was his, I believe, was his 3,000th strikeout on a hanging curveball, up and away. He knows it. That was a very generous mood that day.
Are you saying that was a mistake?
Tom Seaver probably worked hard, or as hard as any pitcher in the history of baseball. He really kept himself in great shape. And they called him Spanky, of course. That was the inside nickname. And Spanky, of course, in the movies, our game movies, was a person that was heavy.
Yes, Spanky in our game. Backdoor slider there, got Duda.
Third strikeout for Cueto in the first 4 batters he's faced. Well, he is the franchise.
Well, I tell you what, he pitched a 3-hit shutout in St. Louis, and it was the year that we went back to Cincinnati and he threw the no-hitter against us a week later, and he had nothing that day, and he'll tell you. But he pitched with what he had that day, which he threw nothing but junk. And he threw a no-hitter. But the week prior, he threw 3-hit shutout against us. He was throwing bullets. And I remember I went in the dugout with Lou. And I said, Lou, gosh, darn, he's throwing hard. And he goes, you should have seen him in '69.
Well, one thing about Tom was that he threw 5 one-hitters for the New York Mets. This guy was on the verge all the time he went out there.
3 times took no-hitters into the 9th as a Met. Mike Davis takes breaking ball for a strike.
What was the guy that broke up one of his no-hitters? Tarzan what?
Tarzan Joe Wallace.
Oh, he broke up one in the 9th inning.
Was it Wrigley Field?
Inning, I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, it was a scoreless game in the bottom of the 9th, so even if he had gone through 9, he wasn't going to have completed that no-hitter, but nonetheless, he was 1 out away from 9 no-hit innings.
Well,
in those days, no-hitters counted when he went the extra amount of time.
Then they expunged all those things from the book. Remember the game Jim Maloney pitched against the Mets?
I sure do.
He had good stuff, huh?
He had yesterday had great stuff, and he came out at the same time, Fresno, California, as Tom Seaver.
Maloney pitched, what was it, 10 no-hit innings against the Mets?
Yeah.
And Johnny Lewis.
Johnny Lewis broke it up, yeah.
2-2 to Ike Davis, whose bat has been getting in gear, and Cueto goes to a full count. 7-game hitting streak for Ike. He's 10 for 20 over the 7 games, and probably just as importantly in contributing to that hot streak is the fact that he's laying off those pitches in the dirt and drawing some walks.
Well, like I said, Gary, when they're getting out one way and you're swinging the curveballs in the dirt, they're going to keep throwing it to you until you stop. You don't stop.
Well, the whole thing about hitting.
Davis has the first man hit at an 8-game hitting streak.
The thing about hitting is the fact that you have to make the pitcher give you good pitches. And when you help him out by swinging the balls that are bouncing the dirt, which so many players do today, you're not going to help him out.
Now, I am very pleased with that at bat for Mike. He hit the ball the other way, a ball in the outside corner. A pitch he takes a lot. For some reason, You start hitting that outside corner pitch, and then they're going to come around and throw you on the inside part.
Yeah, but you say for some reason, he was selective at the plate.
Daniel Murphy takes a fastball off the plate.
Ted Williams has a book out that shows where if you swing at certain pitches, your average will probably be at that level. In other words, high inside fastballs, your average is going to be low. It's a tough pitch to hit. If you go after low outside curveballs, it's going to be that.
Murphy has a base hit. So the Mets have 2 men on.
Nope. Well, Murph goes up the middle here, and this is what Murph's game. He's a guy that gap-to-gap hitter.
Murphy has not hit a home run this year, but he has done the extra base hit.
And he's hitting the clutch. He's hitting well over 300 with men in scoring position.
Well, he puts the ball in play.
Yes, he does. He's a line drive hitter.
So now Josh Thole, who has struggled since coming off the disabled list, 14 games since returning, he's hitting just .224.
If you don't hit the ball, you can't put it in play. It's that simple.
Davis at second, Murphy at first with 1 out. Andres Torres hitting 8th in the order today on deck. Thole catching day game after a night game. I have a feeling that if it weren't Cueto on the mound, who has dominated right-hand hitters the way he had, Terry Collins might have given Thole the day off and played Nickius, but he's got Josh right back out there.
Who was the catcher they cut 140-some games for the Cubs?
But Randy Hundley caught close to 160.
There's a lot of games, yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with playing the next day.
And that was playing day games.
Was that when Jerosha was manager? I believe Leo was the manager.
You know, ball players don't like to play day games, but my God, it's the best way to play, in my opinion.
Well, I think what the issue is, Ralph, is I love day games too, and the problem is you play what you might go Monday through Saturday night games, and you got to you used to sleep in the noon, and you got to get up at 8 in the morning, and it gets a little rugged.
It's your sleeping habits are really impossible to maintain under your schedule.
3-1 now to Thole. So Cueto running into some difficulties. Third 3-ball count he's run in this inning.
I would have loved to see you play in the days in San Francisco, where they played 10 o'clock games.
Well, I would have, what do you mean, 10 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
I would have gone to bed early.
Just stay up.
Well, you wouldn't have said, you probably wouldn't have gone to bed.
3-1 to Thole, and he takes it to the hole for a base hit. Davis will have to stop at third, and the Mets have the bases loaded with 1 out. Nice at bat for Thole. 3 straight hits for the Mets to fill him up.
Well, a little bit of small ball here, and he's pitching away, and the Mets are taking him where we're going with the pitch, not trying to pull it. And Davis, who is not very fast, has no chance of scoring here. But this is why Terry Collins puts 7 left-handers in the lineup. But he's hitting 300 coming into this game against Cueto.
Now Torres has struggled big time as a left-hand batter this year. His history is he's a better left-hand hitter than right. But this year Torres hitting just 160 against right-handed pitching from the left side.
I want to ask Keith this. I mean, the stats are given to us, and we know all the chances that a batter has against certain pitching and set their back and forth. Do you believe those stats?
I am not a proponent of it, Ralph. I am not.
I don't believe it. I think they're just numbers. And certain days, certain batters can hit certain pitches.
Little bloop, shallow center. On comes Valdez to make the catch, and Ike has no chance to try and tag. And that's the second out.
See, that out is a big out. To pop the ball up with a run on third and not scoring is a thing you cannot do. You got to put the ball in play where you get the runs in.
Well, particularly when you're in the 8th position in the order with the pitcher coming up next, you've got to at least get 1 in. But I've left him out there a few times in my career.
Well, you do, but I mean, the thing is, you don't like it.
No, of course.
So the Mets, who wasted a couple of early opportunities yesterday against Homer Bailey, trying not to bypass this one, but it'll be up to Chris Young.
You know, the whole thing about that part is that you have to go after a ball to hit with a run on third base that you have to hit in the air and deep enough to be a fly ball to the outfield. And so you have to go after high pitches and take the pitches that are low.
And now Cueto behind on Young, 2-0. Guy with the biggest strike zone in the league. And he can't throw him a strike.
That's a very good point. He does have a big strike zone.
And you know umpires by their history of what they have done. Certain pitchers that pitch are hitters' pitchers and certain pitchers are pitchers' pitchers. And talking about the umpires, they have a tendency to work against that type of their own pitches.
And now it's 3-0 to Young. Cueto doesn't walk many, less than 2 walks per 9 innings this year, but he's behind the opposing pitcher 3-0, and Young will take at least 1 and maybe 2. There's 1.
The one thing about it here, he's got to look for a ball that he can hit in the air and hit it out of the infield. And hopefully it goes over the fence.
And there's ball 4 that forces it along. So Cueto, who doesn't walk anybody, walks Chris Young to force in the first run of the game. And it's 1-0 New York.
Just got to wonder if that was just a lapse in concentration after getting that big out prior. Torres.
First run of the game brought to you by Chevy, on the web at ChevyOffers.com. So 3 singles and a 2-out walk to the opposing pitcher cost Johnny Cueto the first run of the game, and now Kirk Neuenhuis will try and add to his misery.
Whoever invented the saying a walk is as good as a base hit, I think a walk in many cases, in the majority of cases, is the most important pitch you can get as a batter.
So here's Neuenhuis, who struck out on 3 pitches his first time up. Cueto retired the first 4 batters to face him, 3 of them via the strikeout, but now 4 of the last 5 batters have reached.
Well, you know, Keith, you were talking earlier about the fact that they haven't changed the game much, but in one time in baseball history, old time, walks were considered base hits.
I like that.
Hugh Duffy was the guy that led the league in hitting, and it included walks as base hits.
Wow.
So basically it was on base percentage instead of batting average.
That's right, and it should be.
1-0 to Neuenhuis, and he takes the changeup for a strike. 1-1.
Now remember, in the first inning, to lead off for the Mets, he struck out on all off speed and breaking stuff. And second at bat here, he's thrown him 2 straight changeups, so no fastballs for Neuenhuis.
And that's a borderline strike on a changeup, and it's 1-2.
3 in a row.
So Cueto changing the program this time around against Neuenhuis in a spot where he dearly has to get an out. Already down 1-0 with the bases full. Here's the 1-2, and the fastball away, 2-2.
He wanted that one. You could see his expression. And I think it missed.
Here's an umpire with a big strike zone that didn't miss that much. If he missed, I think he did miss too, but the strike zone is bigger with this umpire.
Young home plate umpire Vic Carapazza today. 2-2 to Neuenhuis in the dirt. Good stop by Hannigan. That saved a run. But now a full count to Neuenhuis.
Well, does he have the guts to throw a curveball here? He throws a slider in the dirt. I bet you he throws him a 3-2 changeup. We'll see.
It's the 5th time in the inning already that Cueto has gone to a 3-ball count. And now the merry-go-round will be in motion. Murphy at third, Tolley at second, Young at first will all be running.
3-2 is a count where you have to look for any pitch at all against a good pitcher.
And Neuenhuis just got a piece of that changeup.
3-2 change, but he knows how he put it right down the pipe. Doesn't want to walk him. He's already walked in 1 run. Well, Dusty Baker, I tell you, everywhere he goes, he wins.
Not Chicago.
He's one of 4 guys for the Dodgers that 30 or more home runs in one season, all on the same team.
Runners get set to take off, and Nieuwenhuis grounds one foul, and they'll do it one more time. Well, Cueto's already thrown 33 pitches in this inning. Nieuwenhuis is amazing, Keith. He can look so bad one at bat, and then look like a whole different hitter the next at bat.
He keeps plugging. He doesn't, he doesn't get phased.
Well, one thing about that, Gary, is the fact he guesses a lot.
Again, the 3-2, and he just got a piece of that one and took a chunk out of Hannigan on the way.
And there's a better word that makes the batter sound better. It's anticipates that pitch.
Well, it seems like more and more hitters guess these days, Ralph.
I think you should. I think you have to guess, and you have to know what's coming. The more chances you have that where you know the pitch that's coming, better chance you have to hit. You got a great story about Ted Williams on that.
9th pitch of the at-bat coming to Nieuwenhuis, and he goes down swinging on the fastball as Cueto geared it up to 94 to get out of a big-time jam with only 1 run scoring. Mets get the lead on Father's Day in New York. Advance. Lots of fathers and sons, lots of fathers and daughters on hand on an unseasonably cool June afternoon.
And don't forget, grandfathers are dads too.
That's true. Twice over.
Thanks a lot for bringing that up.
Well, happy Father's Day to you, Ralph, and to you, Keith.
Same to you, Gare.
Another day and another time.
I've got my phone
Was
right.
it at least a nice tie?
I've got my phone right here. I've had no word from my 3 daughters yet. I'm steaming. I'm getting a little angry.
I haven't heard from my 3 kids either, so we're even.
I'm all up to date. Johnny Cueto leads off in the 3rd inning against Chris Young, who not only has the lead but is responsible for it, driving in his first run of the year with a bases loaded walk. Cueto not much of a hitter, lifetime 088, and he takes a big rip at that, and it's 0-2.
You know, Bob Buell has a record for a pitcher who's not hitting. Buell went 0 for 72 1 year. The whole year he didn't get a base hit.
Cueto hits one out to right, chasing Duda back, and it's over his head, and one hop into the stands for a ground rule double. I don't think Duda had any idea how well that ball was hit. Started drifting and then had no time to catch up. Cueto has his 3rd hit of the year, his first extra base hit.
You know, it's not that windy here in this ballpark today, but there is a wind blowing out toward right field. But it can't be any more than about 10 knots or maybe 15 at the best. And the wind is a big thing to watch when you're a hitter.
So that's the 2nd hit off Young, and now the bunt by Cozart, and no chance for David Wright. It's a bunt single. Beautifully done by Zach Cozart, and the Reds have runners at 1st and 3rd.
This wasn't a sacrifice bunt. This was a bunt for a base hit right here, I think.
And a good bunt.
Perfect. I mean, David is so good at barehanding. He just deadened the ball. The only guy that really had a shot would have been Young, and he's all 6'10" of him. He's all legs.
I mean, if you've got Ari Dickey or Johan Santana on the mound, that's different. But
right.
Young's just not going to be able to make that play. So now he's in a mess, 1st and 3rd, and nobody out. Wilson Valdez, the batter. Flied pretty deep to center field his first time up. Ralph, we started a discussion the last inning about hitters and guessing, and we've talked a lot this year about how strikeouts are up in the game decade by decade, and it seems to coincide with the hitters having more information than ever via scouting reports, video, and all that.
And I disagree with that, because at one time when I was playing baseball, we had all kinds of ways to steal signs. In other words, steal signs from somebody that might not be here.
Great catch by Wright to rob Valdez of a base hit and save at least a run.
David he is quick at 3rd base.
His fielding this year, Ralph,
amazing.
It's been terrific.
The ball was just about by him. A splendid play by Wright to help out Young for the first out of the inning.
They used to say about 3rd basemen, they have to have a strong chest. Knock it down and pick it up and throw him out. But Wright catches him instead.
So here's Votto, 1st and 3rd, and 1 out. And he takes the curveball for a strike. Votto singled just beyond the reach of Murphy into right center his first time up. 80th hit of the year for Votto.
Mm-hmm.
85 miles an hour, hardest pitch Young has thrown today.
Getting back to signs, they used to steal signs at 3rd base by 3rd base coaching, picking up the signs of a pitcher that he knew about, or someone in the center field stands who had telescopes and would relay signs into the 3rd base coach, who might relay the signs into the batter at the plate at that time. So I don't know if that's really true that the guys are guessing more. They're
just missed with a curveball.
But the thing about the ball players today, the strikeout is condemned as a very big evil. They don't care whether they strike out or not. At one time, if you struck out 100 times, you didn't stay in the major leagues. You went back to the minors, and that was before expansion.
Well, this year, Adam Dunn might strike out 250 times, the way he's going. You see the numbers as they have increased over the decades. Of course, the difference between thinking that you know what's coming and stealing a sign and knowing what's coming.
Well, you could be wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be able to take a pitch that might hit you. But maybe it was worth more to get hit then than now.
Cozart runs, shallow fly ball. Torres in, no chance for Cueto to tag up, and that's the second out. So Young, as Cueto did in the last inning, gets a big out. Votto on the shallow fly ball.
Well, Votto's going to kick himself for this at bat. His pitch to hit was the second pitch in the at bat. But this is a good breaking ball right here. Back door and down, got him out in front. The second pitch of the guy was a fastball outside corner, and that was the ball he should have attacked.
They tell you in broadcasting, don't ever talk about a story that's going to be beginning with 2 outs. I have a good theory on the knuckleball pitcher of the New York Mets that I'd like to work in sometime in this broadcast. R.A. I'm talking about.
Brandon Phillips pops it up. So it looks like Young will get out of the inning as Quintanilla camps under it. Side retired. The Reds at first and third and nobody out, and they do not score. 1-0 Mets in the third. Send out best wishes to Mike Gordon, our good friend for Pix 11. Mike, rest up, get back to work, and have a great Father's Day. Johnny Cueto back to the mound after throwing 36 pitches in the last inning and then picking up the first extra base hit of his career. 217 at bats, and that double that he hit that bounced into the right field stands was his first ever extra base hit. Here's your Fios high-speed pitch brought to you by Verizon Fios. Welcome to Life on Fios. It's a mismatch. Cueto +9 on the gun, -1 in the score. Cueto had to really muscle up to avoid further damage in that second inning, striking out Kirk Neuenhuis with the bases loaded. Omar Quintanilla leads off for the Mets in the home third. Quintanilla took a call third strike his first time up. It'll be Quintanilla, Wright, and Duda for the Mets in the third. Well, I don't know if something happened to Cueto here.
That's back. Oh.
See that number 47 on his back? It was on one of the toughest pitchers that ever pitched in Major League Baseball.
Why is there not a trainer going out to see what's going on? There he goes.
Trainer going out to see how the pitcher is.
Let's see if we can detect anything from the last pitch. First pitch of the inning to Quintanilla.
No reaction there. Getting back to the number 47. A guy named Ewell Blackwell pitched for the Cincinnati Reds. It was the toughest pitcher I read against. And he threw a sidearm, was 6'6". He won 17 games in a row. He had 2 no-hitters going at one time. He pitched one and was 1 out in the 9th inning against Brooklyn. And he gave up a base hit to Eddie Stanky that went through his legs, and he ruled it a base hit. But Ewell Blackwell, number 47, man, was he tough to hit. He couldn't find the ball. And the answer to pitching is hide the ball and don't let the batter pick it up early. And he could do that better than anyone I ever saw.
Well, Cueto says he's good to go. I'm not sure Dusty Baker is as convinced as Cueto is. Through 2 warm-up pitches. Clearly was in significant discomfort. But now trying to keep himself in the game. And it looks like Dusty's going to buy it. Or maybe not.
Then again, some water. He's got maybe cramped. I don't know.
Now that's interesting.
Might be a cramp.
It's not a hot day. Temperature right around 70 degrees. And Sam LeCure will start to throw in the Cincinnati bullpen. Cueto had an easy first inning and then ran into a lot of trouble in the second. Threw 36 pitches in the inning. Ran the bases in the last inning, which is a rarity for him after doubling. And then his first pitch of this inning seemed to have some problems with his back.
Maybe that was the reason he got a base hit, an extra base hit.
Well, he has convinced Dusty to leave him in the game. We'll see how he fares from here.
Oh, Dusty's an old timer. Let's let him pitch.
So LeCure, it looks like he's going to. He wants to pick up the phone and find out what he's supposed to do now. Either that or he wanted to order a pizza.
Which has been done before.
So here we go as Cueto deals to Quintanilla. His 92-mile-an-hour fastball would appear to show that his back is at least somewhat okay.
Now, Keith, you were talking about the herky-jerk in pitching.
Yes.
I think herky-jerk is very difficult. Cecil Page actually stopped about 5 times.
Great play by the Gold Glover Votto, and Cueto gets over to cover for the first out.
Good hands on that ball. That ball was hit hard.
Well, Votto won his first Gold Glove last year. That's an in-between hop. And that's a nice play. Well, Satchel Paige, Ralph, if I recall, had the hesitation, right?
That's right. He had the hesitation pitch, and they made a special rule for him that he could stop on the way down. Louis Tiant never stopped, but he was very slow coming down. But Tiant and Johnny Sain, a great pitcher when I played, and Johnny Sain would just swing around all the way around and then throw the ball, and it was hard to find.
Here's David Wright, who flied to right his first time up. Ralph, you wanted to talk about R.A. Dickey?
Yeah, R.A. Dickey is a theory that I believe is out of the result of his knuckleball.
Bruce puts it away for the second out.
R.A. Dickey throws the hardest knuckleball I've seen. And I've seen a lot of knuckleball pitchers. And the reason why the hard knuckleball is hard to pick up and hit is that it slows the amount of break down. It's not a slow breaking pitch. And it's actually like a ball that's thrown that slides over and called whatever you want to call it, slider, or you can call it a cut fastball. And so the ball moves at the last minute, and it's not made contact with, and that's the reason why he's getting the strikeouts. Ball moving late and also quickly.
Doodle pulls one foul.
Well, that's high praise, Ralph, because you've been around a long time. You've seen a lot of knuckleballers. So seriously, when Lou told me, Lou Brock, that when Niekro was young in his prime, that he threw the hardest knuckleball. He throws a harder one than Phil?
I would say yes. No doubt
that's
about
high.
it.
That's
Yes.
high. That's high praise.
Yeah.
Cueto ahead 0-2. So what you're basically saying is because he throws it harder and it breaks less, he can have better control with it.
Yeah,
which
but
is
the
what we've
movement
seen.
is late. And it happens, it looks like a fastball, and it happens that it does move.
Plus, he doesn't throw it all one speed. He mixes up the speeds. So that
It
the
does
hard one
help,
can
too.
sneak up
Yeah,
on you, boy.
That's right.
And so can
Usually
the
most-
soft one.
Yeah, most knuckleball pitchers throw slow knuckleballs.
Sure, I mean, Wakefield, who's the most recent example, threw his mostly in the 60s and low 70s. Very
And
different.
of course, RA says his ball moves up. I thought that standard had a knuckleball that moved up.
Cueto strikes out Duda with a changeup. 1-2-3 inning for Cueto, helped out by some splendid Gold Glove defense by Joey Votto. Mets take a 1-0 lead into the fourth. Time Warner Cable. Enjoy all the things you love better, all from Time Warner Cable. Fourth inning at Citi Field. Mets with a 1-0 lead. Chris Young, who has not lost a major league game since 2009, working with a 1-0 lead. Over the last 3 seasons, he hasn't pitched much, but his numbers from the last 3 years, 2010, 11, and this year, 4-0, 1.81. If you can just keep him on the mound, you got something. But after having that shoulder surgery last winter, perhaps that's the tonic for Chris to be able to stay healthy. Jay Bruce hits one out to left center field, and over comes Neuenhuis. And Bruce retired, one away.
Well, he's had 8 fly ball outs, actually 7. One was a line drive right at David Wright. And that's his game.
Only 1 ground ball out so far. And that was hit by this guy, Miguel Cairo, who grounded into a fielder's choice in the second. And he pops this one up. How about that? David Wright, looking through the sunglasses, gives way to Quintanilla. And on 3 pitches, Young has the first 2 outs.
Well, I tell you what, Chris Young now, what hitters would call a comfortable 0 for 4.
Keith, if you were facing Chris Young, how would you deal
I would
with
stand
him?
more upright. If you get crouched, you might be less tense. For me, my style. I had a pitcher, Jim DeShays was that way, left-hander for Houston.
Right.
I killed him. He was a high ball pitcher. I had to stand upright against him. I never crouched, and that makes me a better high ball. I always felt it made me a better high ball hitter.
You know, one thing about hitting is the fact that people don't move around in the batter's box anymore. You can make a pitcher throw you your pitch as a batter.
3 outs in the air for Young. He threw just 5 pitches to set him down 1-2-3. On Keith Hernandez bobblehead day. Hello, Keith.
Nicely trimmed mustache.
McDonald's, I'm loving it. Mets will welcome in the Baltimore Orioles, who played very well under Buck Showalter this year. 11 games over 500, just a game and a half out of first place. That series starts tomorrow night with R.A. Dickey on the mound, looking for his 11th win. Off day Thursday, then the Yankees are in for 3 before the Mets go to Chicago and Los Angeles on their next road trip, beginning a week from tomorrow. Ike Davis leads off the home fourth inning against Johnny Cueto and bounces one foul. Davis singled through the hole at shortstop his first time up and scored the only run of this game.
Ralph, what have you seen with Ike in his swing? I know you've been watching. What has been his problems?
I think the one problem he's been having throughout the early part of this year, and it might be due to the fact he didn't play much last year, is that he's been throwing fastballs right by him. He's not hitting the hard fastball, and I'm talking about, as you pointed out, you don't have to throw 100 miles an hour. You can throw 91, 92, and still get a guy out. And he's not hitting that 91 or 92 hour fastball at all.
And he takes the fastball for strike 3 called. 6 strikeouts now for Johnny Cueto.
That's the one he starts at the hip, and that got the corner.
He takes an awful lot of pitches,
doesn't he?
Yeah. And when he takes a fastball, that's a pitch no one takes. You want to have the fastball to hit.
Daniel Murphy had a base hit up the middle his first time up. Well, Ike is inching toward 200. He has not been over 200 all year. Was up to 196 after the base hit his first time up. Meanwhile, Murphy has been battling a slump.
Hey, Schweitzer.
Look who's here. The franchise just walked in the booth.
Good to see you.
Slap a headset on the guy.
What's going on? Oh, he had nothing going on here.
Put the headset on first so we can hear you. There we go. There you go.
An official hello, Mr. Kiner.
Hello, Mr. Seaver.
Hello, Mr. Seaver.
Hello, team. This is Team A.
Hey, Tommy.
I wish I could say something nice about you, Hernandez, but
did you see his bobblehead
I spent
today?
all those dimes already today.
You know, one thing about you, Tom, is that I found out something new about that is different. You were a guy, as a pitcher, that lifted weights.
That is correct.
And lifting weights was the reason why your fastball went from maybe 40 miles an hour up to 100 and something.
Well, you know, back then they said you shouldn't lift weights for baseball because you get tight.
That's right.
And that's what the football players did at USC or whatever, wherever it might be. But that's when I started.
You went to USC,
yeah. And it made a big difference for me. And I didn't lift heavy weights. I lifted smaller weights, 10, 15, 20 pounds, and I increased repetitions, not the weight. So instead of 6, you start with 5, 6. You know, Keith, what it's like. You don't need to be. You don't have to look like Dick Butkus and stuff to play baseball. But there's nothing wrong with strength at all.
But you in high school were called the runt. That's the thing about that. You were a little guy.
I know when I was a kid, yeah.
Yeah. And
when you were playing golf with my dad at the Crosby tournament in Pebble Beach, et cetera. I mean, this is how far back the relationship that Ralph and I go, et cetera. And I have an autograph from him. I think when I was in about 6th grade or something. Still have it at home. To Tom, good luck.
And your dad said
Ralph
to me,
Kiner,
your dad said to me he was a great golfer, great amateur player.
Yeah.
He said to me that he had a kid at home who was going to be a major league pitcher. Now, I've heard that 5 million times. and nobody ever got there, but you did.
Well, I didn't want to disappoint Father, you know.
Right.
And Father, you know, for like 12 years said, you got to go meet this guy named Ralph Kiner. That was my impetus to get to the big leagues to meet Ralph.
I was your inspiration, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know if I'm going that far. Actually, my dad told me that he loaned you $20, and he said, if you find Ralph, give him the $20 back.
It was in the mail.
And it still is, Ralphie. Oh, God. Fun to be here. See, I miss this is the good part of it, the people part of it, and hearing your stories and seeing you, and you're looking well, and you look about the same there.
I look all right.
You look the same as you did when I first faced you and struck you out.
No.
Too.
Actually, yes, you did.
I did strike you out. I remember that. That's correct.
He was just saying that when you threw your no-hitter, you were not your overpowering best that day.
Is correct. That's right.
Yeah,
that is correct.
Yeah,
it is called pitching, not throwing, by the way.
That's right.
Well, he said you shut them out the week before and you threw bullets that day.
Yeah.
Remember that? In St. Louis, a hot July night or whatever, you were throwing smoke.
Here you go. Hit it if you can, right?
And he had a good curveball, too.
Now, Tom, this is a special day for you in your back history, right? You were sold on this day or what?
What is the date? I don't know.
It's the 17th. It's Father's Day. And you're a father, so you got to know something.
I'm a father and a grandfather to my daughter in Seattle, Sarah. She's got 3 boys, and Annie, who lives in Calistoga, Napa Valley, where we are, has the boys. So I've got 4 grandsons.
And Nancy's fine. Okay?
Nancy's doing great. Yeah, she's doing just great. Thank you. Yeah.
Cueto off the mound will throw out Torres, and that'll do it for the inning. Are you going to stay, or are you going?
I can stay. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Good. We're going to keep you around.
If you're buying, I'm staying.
We might want to ask a couple of questions or something, and then we can show these nice pictures of you.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, what are you saying there?
Carrie, get a Cabernet, a glass of cab for Tom.
He wants right.
in the 5th inning. Chris Young, working with a 1-0 lead, will take on 8, 9, and 1 in the Reds order. Ryan Hannigan will lead off, and we are visiting with Tom Seaver, and SNY will unveil the all-time Mets team tonight at the 92nd Street Y, and the program will be broadcast on Thursday night on SNY. You think you got a chance to make this team?
I got 12 home runs in the big leagues, big boy. You know, read him and weep.
Inside the park.
No, Mr. Kiner. I wasn't playing in the Forbes Field where you hit it out in the corner.
Come on.
Down the corner, and you if you don't get a inside the park home run, you get penalized.
Well,
you get fined.
only 457 feet to center.
Young handles the hot shot and throws that Hannigan one away.
Oh, Lord.
So I suppose you heard that a Met finally threw a no-hitter.
That's what I understand. Somebody told me that. And
You saw it in the box scores, though.
I saw it in the box scores before, I do go to bed early. We farmers go to bed early, by the way.
But you had a advantage of 3-hour time difference from New York.
Right. Yeah, they finally got it. Thank God. The jackrabbit is off their back. What is it? The snake out of their off their back?
2,080 ball games. That's only that's what it took.
Well,
and you only had 5 1-hitters.
Just 5.
Yeah,
just 5.
Only 5.
Only 5.
It's terrible. You and Feller. Feller had 11.
Well, he had a couple of no-hitters though.
Yeah,
too, by the way.
3.
Yeah,
he had 3. And but you got the other guy, Brian. I mean, he had a few more than that too. Yeah.
What does he have? 7? 7 is it? 7. Are we surprised that Nolan Ryan has 7 no-hitters?
Didn't fall.
Not one out. And he had a lousy curveball.
We just
Keith is starting to sweat over. You say the word Nolan Ryan, and Keith is starting to perspire.
No. Say the word Seaver, and I perspire. I didn't mind hitting off Nolan, to be honest with you.
I got the numbers here. Lord. Keith 9 for 46 against Tom.
I almost hit a home run off.
What is no, almost does not count.
It was a bullet triple. Off left, right center field.
What is that percentage come out to? Is it on here? Let me see. Is it over? Are you over 200?
I'm on the interstate.
Are you on the interstate? Interstate 19. It looks like to me 196. Too, big boy.
I think that was a win. I'm close to 200.
Yeah.
Only 8 strikeouts though in 46 at bats.
So he struck me out once with the bases loaded. 3-2 curveball.
I love it.
Electric curve.
You're a guessing fastball.
Oh, right? I was a kid. I was 21 years old. It was not fair. It wasn't fair.
There it is, Tom Seaver. Yeah, he's going to bring that heater in here. Oops, sorry.
What did Cueto do?
He struck out.
I struck somebody out in the big leagues one time, and I forget who it is, but it was a major hitter, et cetera. And I got to 3-2 with the bases loaded, and I threw him a changeup, struck him out. And it'll come to me probably over dinner tonight or a glass of red wine, et cetera. I'll get the name. But he said, Tom, he said, Tom, but you don't have a changeup. No, the catcher said, that's right. I think it was benched. He said, what the hell was that? I said, it's a changeup. So you don't have a changeup. I said, I have one now. True story, honest to God. I forget who the hitter was.
Yeah, somewhere in this picture, you actually were traded on this day or whatever it was.
Oh, I don't remember.
And, of course, that was a big, big, big mistake that they made.
You were traded at the deadline, too?
Yeah, I went to, it was, it was a mistake, but it was also, it was a transition of the ownership, too. Because, and I don't want to get into this, because it got...
M. Donald Grant was the guy who got rid of it.
And then when that happened, then everything really began to implode.
Cozart drives one down the line, and that lands fair. So Cozart has a 2-out double.
About baseball. He was a hockey player in Canada, and that qualified him. Yeah.
This is a beautiful park, isn't it?
Would you like to play there?
You like it, Keith?
I love it.
You like it?
Yeah. I think it's fair.
I compare it to Shea, where that's where my time was spent, which was a ballpark of its era,
right?
Football, Jets, and and all that stuff, which is fine. But having this, this is fabulous. It's a real ballpark.
You would like this as a pitcher's park?
Absolutely. It didn't make a difference to me, though. Didn't make a difference, and reason because he had the other guy had to pitch in it too. and you have to know what corner to stay away from, what alley to stay away from, or whatever. I mean, if the size of the ballpark, does it change the way you pitch? Yes, absolutely it does.
See,
but you have to know how to do that stuff.
That's different from the hitter, because the size of the ballpark makes a lot of difference.
Of course it does.
As a hitter.
Yeah, you're not going to try to hit that thing at 385 out there. You're not shooting for that thing.
Cozart being waved home. Here comes the throw by Torres, and Cozart gets by the tag by Tolley, and the Reds tie the game. So Wilson Valdez drives in the tying run, and it's 1-1 in the fifth.
You know, the one thing about hitting is the fact I would try to hit the ball to left center.
Yeah.
And if left center was close, that was a real advantage, because that's where everything went. I mean, the direction of the swing and everything I did was 4 home runs and 2 left center.
And if you got just a little bit out in front, and then you hit the ball, then you're in the ballpark down the line. Absolutely.
But the one thing
if you're too far front and you get out in front, then you hit a foul. You hit that 600-foot home run foul. You're in the left. I watched you guys. You guys tried to trick me.
Now, wait a minute. No tricks. The one thing I didn't do was hit a lot of foul balls, where I got my hands ahead of my bat, and so I could adjust and then make the bat go out to the left center. The position of your hands when you hit the ball determines where the ball goes.
Did you look? This is great. Simple. It's like for Keith too. Do you look middle in or middle out?
No, I was right on the plate. I made you pitch me. Try to pitch me.
You wanted the ball.
Yeah, you're right. Yes. But
you look in or out, Keith?
With runners on.
If you were, in your ballpark in St. Louis, because you did not try to pull over him.
No.
You tried to hit in the middle of the field and hit the gappers and stuff.
Well, center field was big and best shaded.
I always looked late in the game if the game was on the line where I can beat you. I looked in.
Well, yeah, you look in, of course.
Pitch book was on the
end.
We
know that.
So I would look in, and one pitch and get the heck out of there. That would make my day.
You know, one thing.
Bus leaves in 25 minutes, boys. Let's go. We're not getting paid for overtime.
Keith.
Excuse me, Gary.
That's what.
When I first saw Tom, I said to Tom, if pitchers were smart, nobody would hit. And he looked at me like, I'm not smart. I'll tell you one thing, he knows what he's doing. Yeah.
I've listened to Tom expound on the finer points of pitching. Things I've never thought about, because I'm obviously I'm a hitter. Go ahead, Gary, get in here.
No, I was just going to ask Tom if he'd seen enough film of Ralph to know how you would pitch him.
Like it was all the old black and whites. It wasn't color film there. It was black and whites with rough. It's kind of now we're in the clubhouse and we're throwing darts. Come on, it's okay.
It was before.
But he was way. I know it was right after movie pictures.
Right.
When those old MGM things, when they got the clown and the lion getting together and all that, or whatever.
Yeah.
The one thing about when I saw Ralph when I first saw the first pictures of him.
Phillips gets a base hit. Here comes Valdez around third with the lead run. He will score. Duda's throw goes to third. Votto in safely. The ball gets by right, goes into the dugout. Votto comes in to score, and the Reds take a 3-1 lead.
So, Tom, we're going to show the replay here, and you've done this before. Do the color. Now, it's a tough spot for a pitcher. First and second. He's got to back up home.
Well, he has to back home. It's a good piece of hitting. First of all, up and out of the plate and going through the hole to right. Did not try to pull the ball.
How would you get to third?
You can't get to third because this is one of the unique plays. You've got to be behind home plate. You don't know where the ball is going, and that's where the left fielder should be. The left fielder should be. The play is totally out of his market in left field, but it's a play that you very rarely see, and I don't know how many managers think of that. So as soon as that ball gets away, but he's got to go back up third base.
Well,
protect the ball to throw from right field.
That's the mechanics of baseball right there.
Yeah.
I mean, every ball head, every player has a job to do. And the left fielder didn't do it.
So you see he's backing up home.
See that? Where's the third? Where is he? He's back there.
That's very nice to illustrate.
Very good, Tom.
Yeah, but that's
without being out of practice.
It's better than me.
No, there was nobody better than you.
I'm tired of taking a back seat to you.
You see that play once a year.
I come on a stool back here.
Maybe once a year, but that's a play. And then, okay, it's one extra base, but now they get the runners. it's an extra 1, 2, 3 extra bases. 2 for the runner that got the base hit at first base, and 1 for the runner that scored. It's pretty amazing.
That's bad. That's bad news.
I rest my case.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Very nice analysis. You should get back on the booth.
I'm going to ask you one question.
Yes.
What the hell did I say?
You're in a good mood today.
I'm in a great mood.
I love it.
Because if I could leave in the 7th inning, I could leave in the 4th inning. I can get my 3 Labradors and go to my vineyard. And,
Beautiful. You earned it.
Oh man.
How's your wines?
Everything's good, Keith. Very good. Getting good reports and all that stuff. And
I got my
reviews.
You
got yours, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
I've got them laid away.
And it's just getting better and better. Yeah.
Young throws out Bruce to end the inning. Tom, it's always great seeing you. Thanks so much.
Good to see you guys too. I'm glad you invited me back, and it's because these are 3 of my favorites, etc. And Ralph, I mean seriously, through my father for 60 years probably. Honest to God. And it's and I still have Dad got it, but he got an autograph. Ralph Kiner brought it home to me. Didn't know who the hell he played for. I didn't know what position he played. If I got it, I'm proud to have it.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Ralph. Happy Father's Day to you both. We leave with some images of Tom Seaver. Mets down 3-1 in the 5th. Chris Young leads off the home 5th inning and takes a strike from Johnny Cueto. Mets now behind 3-1. Reds putting together a rally after 2 out and nobody on, and putting up 3 runs against Young in the top of the inning. Young drove in the only Met run with a bases loaded walk, and that foul ball caught Hannigan. Cueto's allowed just 1 run and 4 hits over the first 4 innings. Looked like he might be felled by a back problem after throwing his first pitch in the 3rd, but was able to tough his way through it and has not shown any ill effects ever since. Strike 3 called, and Young is out. That's 7 strikeouts now for Cueto. That matches his season high. Keith, it is always fascinating listening to you and Ralph and Seaver go back and forth about hitting and pitching.
Well, I enjoyed that little inning because it was mainly the banter between Ralph and Tom, which I find very fascinating and love to hear. It's wonderful. And Tom was in an exceptionally good mood.
You sound surprised by that.
No, he just.
Nieuwenhuis has been up twice and struck out both times. Last time was with the bases loaded and 2 out in the 2nd, the biggest out that Cueto's had to get this afternoon. The Reds 3 runs and 6 hits. The Mets 1 run and 4 hits. And Nieuwenhuis floats one behind second. That's going to fall for a base hit. Well, a little dunker into center field for Nieuwenhuis. Just his second hit in this series, and the Mets' fifth hit of the afternoon.
Well, he's been throwing them all the junk the whole game. He threw a little cutter there, flat, didn't get on top of it, didn't break any downward sink to it. So Nieuwenhuis got jammed by it, but muscled it out over to into center field.
So 1 out and 1 on. Now Omar Quintanilla, who struck out in the first, then hit a sharp ground ball that Votto made a terrific play on in the third. Well, Cueto trying to do something that he's never done, and that is beat the Mets. 5 prior starts against the Mets. Not only was he 0-3, but he really did not pitch well in any one of those games. But he's pitching well this afternoon. And the one difficult inning in the second, gave up 3 straight hits and the bases loaded walk to Young. Got through that, got through the back problem in the next inning. And now has the lead for the first time. Mentioned early in the game, Cueto very hard to run on. Has the good move to first base, pretty quick to the plate. 36 career stolen base attempts against Cueto. Only 13 of 36 have been successful.
Well, he's picked off, I believe, 4 this season. He's very quick feet. One of the best moves. If you've got a good move as a right-hander, you got to have quick feet.
Quintanilla hits it hard off the glove of Cairo. It'll be an infield hit for Quintanilla. Cairo playing very far in against Quintanilla, and that ball got on him in a hurry.
Well, that's the ability right there to be a threat to bunt. If it's someone like Guy Davis up, he can play back. You make this play, it's a double play. Your pitcher's out of the inning. Now, I happen to think that Cairo's in a little bit too deep. He should have made that play. That should be probably an error. They give him a hit or an error?
I don't think they've decided yet.
To me, that's got to be an error.
And they're going to call that an error. So Cairo playing third base for the first time in the series commits the error, and the Mets have the tying runs on base with 1 out, and David Wright coming up. So that could be a very key play. What could have been a double play instead gives the Mets 2 men on. Wright twice has flied out to right field in this game. He's 0 for 2. And David takes inside from Cueto, 1-0.
Well, David, his first 2 at bats was set up to go the opposite field. You see Cueto starting him off inside.
Lucas Duda waiting on deck. And David grounds one toward third, a foul ball. 1-1. You see David's numbers against Cueto. Mets only have 4 hitters in the lineup today who had ever faced Cueto before. So that kind of negates some of that lack of success that Cueto's had against them. The view from the Shea Bridge on Father's Day. A big crowd gathered. Sunny day. Keith's bobblehead. Lots of attractions.
I almost feel if I'm an owner of a ball club, I would rather have every year on my home schedule have Father and Mother's Day as opposed to having a Memorial, Labor, or 4th of July. That's just part of America. Apple pie and Chevrolet, whatever.
Are they a sponsor? They are. 2-1 to right. Cueto working carefully here. Up to 85 pitches in the 5th inning. He threw 36 of those in 1 inning back in the second. And Wright grounds another one foul. 2-2. Of course, the Reds have less to worry about pitch counts than most teams, because if you get in their bullpen, you're not gaining a huge advantage. Their bullpen has been that good. That saw Aroldis Chapman in the 9th inning last night, and it was no contest. But the rest of that bullpen's been pretty good too. Now it's 2-2 to right. And David grounds one to third, might be 2. Cairo to Phillips, makes the nice turn for the double play. Side retired. 5-4-3. And the Mets waste an opportunity in the 5th. Brandon Phillips, 3-time Gold Glove winner. Quintanilla bearing right down on him and makes the turn easily for the 5-4-3. 3-1 Cincinnati. City, the official sponsor of Team USA, together every step of the way.
Oh, that used to be my view. That building right there, the Chrysler building. My old apartment and condo in New York.
Miguel Cairo, first pitch swinging, flies one out to Torres. One pitch and one out for Young in the sixth. There's no nicer building in New York than the Chrysler building.
And at night when it's lit up, it's so beautiful on top. It is really my favorite building in the city.
I don't think we've ever had that shot before. Close up.
Don't jump out of that plane. Helicopter.
So quiet, too. One out, Willie Harris, the batter. And he takes a strike. Well, Young got out of a big jam in the third inning. The Reds at first and third and nobody out. He got helped by a fine play by David Wright on the line drive, but not as fortunate in the fifth. He gave up 3 hits and an intentional walk. An error by Duda in right field cost him a run. And right now that has him behind 3-1. Ryan Hannigan, the number 8 hitter, on deck. And Harris takes it high. Willie is struck out and flied out 0 for 2. Mets trying to avoid getting swept at home for the first time this year. Right on the heels of sweeping a series at Tampa Bay. Mets scored 29 runs in those 3 games in St. Petersburg. They've scored only 5 in this series so far. And Harris hits one out to right field. Duda's there. 2 out. So the fly ball parade continues against Chris Young.
Tell you what, Philadelphia is losing again today to Toronto. They've lost their last 7 out of 10, and boy, they're 9 games back. I just don't know if they're going to rebound, Gare.
Well, Cliff Lee had a 5-2 lead in the 8th last night, couldn't hold it. Another no decision for him. Still hasn't had a win this year. You know, there was a time when Lee was pitching well, not getting wins because they weren't scoring for him. Now they're giving him leads and he's giving them back, and you have to wonder whether, you know, it's getting in his head at this point.
I think it is, because he's had leads late and hasn't been able to hold them. You know, Marlins are struggling. They've lost the last 8 out of 10.
Nice catch.
Oh.
There are your standings in the National League East. The Nats have lost the last 2 days to the Yankees, which has kept everybody else from falling further behind.
Well, they should have won in extra innings. That was a bad call at home plate in that one play, that close play.
Yep.
The guy was safe.
They've got his hand in before the tag. Clearly, well, those things happen. By the way, the Braves are in second place, but they suffered a very important loss last night. Brandon Beachy had to come out of that game with a sore elbow. He goes on the disabled list today. Strike. 2-2 to Hannigan.
I felt the umpire in that call up the Nationals game against the Yankees when he called the player out at home. He was out of position. He was racing back to make the call. He almost tripped over the sliding base runner. And was way out of position. Terrible call. More fortunate call for National League Eastern Division teams.
I can see you too. 2-2 to Hannigan. And we'll try it again. The Reds begin the day with a 4-game lead in the Central over the Pirates and the Cardinals. And Hannigan hits it to center. Well hit. Torres back. And has it to hit it out of his glove. Hannigan heads for second, and he will pull in there. Well, Torres got back there. Got the ball in his glove and just could not hold it.
How would you score this, Gare?
It's a tough call because he had to go so far, but
I would call it an E8.
He had it. Just
it's an E8.
Didn't squeeze it, but they've called it a double.
Okay.
So a 2-out double for Hannigan. So Cueto will come to the plate. Cueto picked up his first big league extra base hit back in the 3rd inning. A ground rule double to right. And he struck out in the 5th, 1 for 2.
Struck out on all curveballs, and Young leads him off with a hook, and Lucas Duda playing a little bit deeper in right field this at bat. Of course, he got that double back in the 3rd inning and went over Lucas's head.
Slapped down to first, right behind the bag. Cueto didn't bother running, and David makes the play to end the inning. A double and 1 left. Mets will come up in the bottom of the 6th with Duda to lead off, down 3-1. Father's Day in New York.
Are that the Pickers?
Well, that explains the lack of a father on Father's Day.
Well,
Dad's working.
That's our producer, Mr. Greg Picker. That's his family. Greg's in the truck back in the command center.
Johnny Cueto working with a 3-1 lead as we go to the bottom of the 6th. It'll be Duda, Davis, and Murphy, 3 left-hand hitters against Cueto, who's given up 1 run and 5 hits. Duda's been up twice, struck out both times, looking in the 2nd, swinging in the 3rd. And Lucas takes a first pitch changeup for a strike. Cueto, when he was a kid in the Dominican, modeled himself after Pedro Martinez and developed that changeup at a very young age with help as that's driven into right field for a base hit. It'll go to the wall. Bruce picks it up with the bare hand, and he'll hold Duda to a single. Nicely done by Jay Bruce to get back and field that ball out of the Mo zone and keep that from being an extra base hit.
Well, I'll tell you what, Lucas hustled out of the box. Fastball in, he turns on it. This is just, Bruce was playing him deep and just played it perfectly off the wall. Hit so hard. You have to worry about Lucas not hustling. Lucas always hustles.
So it'll get Ike Davis to the plate as the tying run. Ike is single to left and taking a call, third strike. I was going to say Cueto modeled himself after Pedro Martinez, but he also got a lot of help with that changeup from Mario Soto, who I know you got to face and had a tremendous changeup.
Mario was a hard thrower, had a turnover screwball change, faded away from you. And he had a decent slider too, Mario, and he threw bullets.
Under the glove of Cueto, but a nice play by Phillips. They get the out at second, and they turn the double play. Brandon Phillips with a little bit of panache for the 4-6-3 double play.
Well, I'm sure you make this play. This has got a lot of mustard on it. I don't know if it's Gouldens or that French country, but it's mustard.
As long as it works, it'll get you on the highlights
Just
film
not
at the end of the night.
Not necessary. But makes the play, and that'll get him an ESPN highlight.
Cueto liked it.
Show double play, pitcher's best friend. But a nice, beautiful play, beautiful double play.
If you try and flip it between the legs and you bang it off your thigh, pitcher doesn't like it so much.
It's a beautiful double play. There's just more traditional ways of making it.
Second double play in the last 2 innings for the Reds. Well, we're calling it the Mazda play of the game.
I think the backhand, getting to the ball in the backhand, is better than the through the legs. But then I'm an old dinosaur anyway, huh? Oh.
Well, another inside pitch in this series, and we've seen a lot of those.
Well, nothing wrong with it, and there's been some hit by pitches, and I really think in this series, Gare, you've had some retaliation. But it's all been fair. No one falling on anybody's head. It's part of the game. No fights over it. No warnings. Players take care of it. You go about playing the game.
And that's the interesting part, isn't it? That the umpires have not gotten involved at all, and things have just played out, and there haven't been, any repercussions. You had Dylan G hit Joey Votto with a pitch, and Votto kind of glared at G on Friday night. Reds retaliated by hitting David Wright later in the game. Last night, Jay Bruce at bat after the home run was hit by a pitch by John Neese. Later, Lucas Duda gets hit in the middle of the back. And in all those situations, not a warning from an umpire.
Right.
And that's it.
Well, you know what I've always felt? I know what it's 2 outs here. I'll say it real quick. You want to hit you retaliate off their best hitter, the opposing team's best hitter. I always felt it's the pitcher that threw it. National League, he's got to hit. Drill the pitcher. I wonder what Tom would think about that.
The pitchers are in favor of that.
What do you think, Tom?
3-1 Reds after 6. fantastic at 50. Mets jersey. Just text Keith, of course, to 48593 to enter. Message and data rates may apply. It's all about Keith today.
Oh, and dads.
Well, you're a dad.
Yes, I am. Believe it or not.
And a grandfather.
Yeah.
Which is even more unbelievable.
Jeez. And the grandkids think I'm the best. Boy, they got to wake up.
Lots of dads and kids on hand today as Chris Young bounces a curveball to Zach Cozart. Cozart 2 for 3 today, a bunt single in the third, and then he drilled a double down the left field line to start the Reds' 3-run rally in the fifth, which is the only blemish against Young today. Chris working into the seventh for the first time this year. And Cozart pops one up. Long run back for Davis. And he will not get there. Young in his first start went 5 innings. He went 5 2/3 at Tampa Bay in his last start. Could have gone further, except he had some roof trouble, which prolonged some innings. Threw 106 pitches in that game, and as you can see, he's kept his pitch count very low today. Not yet at 90, working in the seventh. Comes inside to Cozart, 2-2. Wilson Valdez on deck, and then Joey Votto for the Reds in the seventh.
You know what's we forgot to mention here is it is nice to see Chris Young going into the seventh. It's going deep into the ball game. This is a guy that's had surgery and has been hurt most of his career, coming off serious surgery, and he's carrying this game deep. Love it.
No need for any bullpen action right now. 2-2, and Cozart hits one back up the middle for his third hit of the day. Well, Zach Cozart continues to impress, and the rookie shortstop is on base to start the seventh.
See, that's where Young gets hurt a lot in the elevation of his fastball. Watch, just like Sid Fernandez, Gary. Sid was always like Chris, very effective upstairs. Sid got hurt mid-thigh to belt, and this is where this pitch is. It loses his effectiveness when he gets the ball down. Much more effective up above the letters.
Here's Wilson Valdez, who swung the bat well all afternoon, and he tries to bunt, pops one up. Tolley with the grab. Caught it in foul territory for the first out.
Well, nice play by Josh here. Good hustle, good reaction. Very nice.
Well, Tolley catching day game after a night game and showing off those young legs. 1 out and 1 on. Here's Joey Votto. 1 for 2 and an intentional walk. Reds don't do a lot of base stealing, and you certainly wouldn't want to be stealing here with Votto at the plate. Reds, in fact, are dead last in the National League in steals. And Votto takes the high strike. 0-1.
The errant throw from right field from Lucas Duda that got by David Wright accounts for that unearned run. That's a big unearned run right now.
All those runs coming with 2 out in the 5th inning. So the Reds giving the Mets a taste of their own medicine. The 2-out rally, which has been such a staple for the Mets all year. One and 1 to Votto. Tolley moves outside. Young always has to be wary about base stealers, even against teams that don't normally steal. Already Cairo, who hadn't attempted one all year, has a stolen base today. And that curveball just missed. 2-1.
Well, I tell you what, home plate umpire Vic Carapazza has been consistent, so there's no gripe here. But he does not give the outside corner to the pitchers. Anything that's borderline goes as a ball. But he's been consistent.
Well, the way umpires set up now inside the shoulder of the catcher, that outside corner is a lot harder to see than the inside corner is. Now it's 2-2 to Votto. Toward the hole, and Votto's got a base hit. Cozart turns second, heads for third. Duda won't take a shot at him, and the Reds have runners at the corners with one out. So Votto with his second hit of the game.
Well, Votto can just hit. Fastball away, pulled a little bit out in front. And everybody down that bullpen's ready. Just wondering if Terry's going to pull the hook here. And I guess he's not.
Well, he's got Burdack up in the bullpen, ready for Jay Bruce is on deck, and he's got John Roush up as well. But Young will stay in to face Brandon Phillips. And 96 pitches on the afternoon. Phillips 1 for 3, singled in a run his last time up. He had that base hit to right that drove in a run, and then the second run came home when Duda's throw to third got away.
See, right there, Phillips was taking all the way. I can tell by the way he took his stride. Why would you want to take all the way when you've got ducks on the pond and a chance to break the game open and he takes a fastball away? I don't understand. I mean, the pitcher's going to bear down, Gary, when he's in trouble. The good pitchers, the pitchers that have guts. This man right here, Chris Young, has guts. So he's going to bear down. He's going to give you his best stuff. So why give him an opportunity to let a fastball go by when he's got good secondary pitches, and you allow him to pitch ahead in the count, number one?
High fly ball down the left field line. That'll hook and go foul.
I mean, RBI situations, just looking for 90% of the pitchers. Either you're looking for a fastball, and really the ideal thing is if a pitcher's got three pitches and command, you don't want to go deep in the count with him in 7 pitches where you can mess around and get behind the count. You get a first pitch fastball, it's over with, out of the box.
Young has struck out 2 today, could use 1 here, but Phillips pops it up. Back goes Murphy, in comes Duda, and Murphy's got it. Cozart tags, comes halfway down the line and goes back. Beautifully done by Murphy. 2 out.
Well, this is a tough chance right here. Tough play for Murph. But he doesn't waste time. He only has 1 play. He can't worry about the runner on first base if he's tagging. He's got to get the ball home.
We've seen him make that play before this year, that catch going away where he turns and throws it with no hesitation.
And nice play by Cozart. Cozart could have come halfway down the line. If that ball drops, he might not have been able to score, but he forced the throw. He could throw it away.
So now 2 out, and Young will stay in to face Jay Bruce, who's 0 for 2 and a walk today. Yanked foul. Well, Burdack up in the bullpen, but
nice.
That's a nice play by the ball boy, second of the day.
I bet you.
Is that Anthony?
Is it?
Yeah, nice job.
I tell you what, he must have got his sleep. He looks good out there today.
And the curveball down, 1-1 to Bruce. So Young being entrusted to try and get the left-hand hitter out in this spot with Burdack ready to go. Trying to get through the 7th. That's got 6 innings out of Dylan G on Friday night, 7 out of John Neese last night, both in a losing effort. And Young trailing today, but trying to get through the 7th. And Bruce skies one to center field. And Torres is right there waiting for it. Side retired. Nice job by Chris Young to get himself out of trouble in the 7th and keep the Mets within 2 at the 7th inning stretch. CIN.com to learn more. Father's Day at the ballpark, and these father and son moments are brought to you by Nautica. Great gifts for Dad. Nothing more basic than going to a baseball game with Dad. And if you happen to get an image of Keith Hernandez in bobblehead fashion, well, even better. Maybe you could sponsor baby bottles too.
What are you?
Well, Eli Manning was here today, courtesy of a diaper company. I'm just saying, you never know where those endorsement deals are going to come from. And it's a very big crowd on a Sunday afternoon. Father's Day in New York on a gorgeous day. Not too hot. Tour of Citi Field is brought to you by Citi, the official sponsor of Team USA, together every step of the way. Mets needing to rally to avoid getting swept at home for the first time this season. Josh Thole will lead off for New York in the home seventh. Josh is 2 for 2 today, twice a single to left field. Mets have had just 6 hits against Johnny Cueto, who comes off a complete game 6-hitter in his last start. He threw a season high 122 pitches in that victory over the Indians. He's thrown 97 pitches through 6 innings today. And he starts Thole off with an off-speed pitch in for a strike.
Both of Josh's base hits have been between third and short. And the shortstop, Zach Cozart, is still playing him up the middle instead of shading him more to left field. I just think right here, he's gotten 2 base hits right in here. Shade over here a little more. It's a nice, that's supposed to be an arrow, folks.
Wow. Really?
Yep.
Seaver was better with that than you.
Oh, well, I'm horrible.
Well, he could paint.
Yeah, that's very good.
1 and 2 to Thole.
Yes, he could.
I hear he trims a mean grapevine too.
I'd pay to see that.
I think he'd let you visit.
I've got to get up there. Then maybe this offseason I'll go home and visit my brother. I'll take a trip up there.
1-2 from Cueto, and Thole lifts one to right center. Over comes Valdez, and he puts it away. 1 out.
So you're right, Garrett. Wilson Valdez never played center field. He is fast, we know that, and he's just a good athlete. He's patrolling a nice little central here.
Well, he's 34 years old. He's played everywhere else and pressed into service because of injuries to Drew Stubbs and Chris Heisey. They didn't want to move Bruce over to center field, so they've run Valdez out there 3 straight days, and he's played very well. Just as he filled in admirably for the Phillies wherever they put him the last 2 years. Jordany Valdez being on deck to bat for Chris Young, who turned in 7 very solid innings today, but trails. And Torres takes a strike, 1-1.
Now, Chris is going to get a pinch hit for it no matter what. 7 innings, 3 runs. I don't care if they're 3 earned. That to me is the minimal quality start. Not 6 innings and 3 runs. 6 innings, 3 runs is a 4.50 earned run average. That's nothing to write home about.
Well, that's the minimum.
But that's nothing to write home about. 7 innings, 3 runs. That's 3.86. You can write home to mom about that.
Does email count?
Yeah, you could text it too.
You can Skype that home about that. Well, Cueto up to 104 and no hint of action in the Cincinnati bullpen. He's their ace. Now the 1-2 to Torres, and he slaps one on the ground to third. And Cairo's got it. 2 out. Well, the Mets really struggling with the bats in this series after beating up on an outstanding Tampa Bay pitching staff for 3 days. They've managed just 5 runs in this series. Now Jordany Valdespin will pinch hit with 2 out and nobody on. Valdespin had a couple of at-bats in the game last night, flied out and popped up. 0 for 3 in this series.
He had a nice series in Tampa. And you look at Johnny Cueto right there. What's impressed me about him this game this outing, I should say, is that he's used both sides of the plate. He's been on the corners and primarily down.
Well, trying to beat the Mets for the first time in his career. Corners come in against Valdespin with 2 out and nobody on. Votto backs up after that first pitch to Valdespin. And Giordani pulling off the changeup, and it's 1-1.
Good change. Look at that, sinking out of the strike zone.
Cueto threw a lot of sliders to the left-hand hitters early in the game, but it's been primarily his changeup lately. And he comes inside with the fastball, 2-1.
That's what I'm talking about, using both sides of the plate, and he hasn't missed over the middle very much. He thought he had a strike there. He wanted that call, but
well, he'll come inside. He'll hit some people occasionally. And a little check swing flare foul.
Yeah, he's got 6 hit by pitches so far this year in his 13 starts
in the league. But you have to be willing to do that. And Cueto has really rounded out his game. We mentioned the last 2 seasons combined, he has the best starters ERA in the major leagues. And he also has hit a lot of batters along the way. Not necessarily a bad thing. 2-2 to Valdespin with 2 out. Neuenhuis would be next. And Valdespin lays off that one, 3-2.
It's hard to believe.
He has a couple of pinch hit home runs this year.
Sorry about that, Gare. It's hard to believe. Here we are, June 17th, and it's just a gorgeous day. No humidity.
Just wait. Swing and a miss. Well, you give him a steady dive to changeups, and Cueto takes care of Valdespin. That's his 8th strikeout, a season high. 3-1 Cincinnati.
Not only is Bunning after a no-hitter, he's after a perfect ball game. Striking out! A perfect game! A perfect game for Jim Bunning! Oh, what a happy scene for the Phils and Jim Bunning.
Wow. It's one of them days.
One of those Father's Day days, huh?
Oh, yes, sir.
That was Father's Day 1964. Only the 31st game at Shea Stadium, which just opened that year, and Jim Bunning threw a perfect game. Johnny Stevenson made the last out, and it was appropriate for Bunning to throw his perfect game on Father's Day. Father of 8.
Oh, really?
John Roush comes on to pitch the 8th inning.
Couldn't imagine that. Can you imagine the headaches?
Well, they say once you get past 5, it's critical mass, and I've got 5. So I don't know. Miguel Cairo's 0 for 3 today, and he flies one into right field, and Duda's right there. 1 out.
Well, I think it's important to know the last outing Thursday in Tampa, John Roush just came in with the bases loaded, nobody out, and just pitched out of that jam with 2 strikeouts and threw his fastball predominantly, and he was throwing hard. You know, he's been becoming a breaking ball pitcher, and I think Dan Warthen told him to throw his fastball more, have more confidence in your fastball. Boy, did he pitch great that last time out.
Gets ahead of Willie Harris with a slider.
Pigeons
looking for Dad.
They are parked behind David Wright. David has no idea he's being spied upon.
It's a sneak attack.
There you go. He's
just hunting and pecking. 3-1 now to Harris. One other note on that Jim Bunning no-hitter. You know who the losing pitcher was that day for the Mets? A guy who was on the wrong side of history more than once in his career.
What year was that again? I'm sorry.
1964. There's 2 high, ball 4, and Phillips is on with a walk. The losing pitcher for the Mets on June the 21st, Father's Day 1964, was Tracy Stallard. Same guy who gave up Roger Maris's 61st home run 3 years earlier while he pitched for the Orioles.
I believe Tracy Stallard pitched for the Giants too, the San Francisco Giants. I'm pretty sure.
Did he make any?
Well, I remember as a kid.
Make any history there?
It was. I remember his name because it's Tracy Stallard. It always sounded like a cool name to me when I was growing up.
Here's Ryan Hannigan, 1 for 3 on the day. He had a long double to center field, in and out of Torres's glove his last time up. Jose Arredondo gets up in the bullpen for the Reds. Pitcher spot is due up next. And Chris Heisey has come out on deck to bat for Johnny Cueto.
Well, I've been informed Tracy did not pitch for the Giants. I've got my teams confused. The reason why I liked him is because I was a Cardinal fan. He pitched for the Cardinals.
Red Sox, Cardinals, and Mets. 1964 with the Mets, he went 10-20.
So he came to the Cardinals in '65, the year after the World Championship. He lost 20 in '64 for the Mets.
It didn't, you know, he wasn't alone in losing 20 for those early Met teams. Al Jackson did it. Jack Fisher did it. Roger Craig did it. You know, when you're losing 110 or more every year, somebody's got to take those losses. And in those days, 4-man rotations.
You're right. He had like 38 starts in a season. Maybe our statistician can find out who's the last pitcher to lose 20 games in the big leagues.
Well,
I think it's not that long ago.
Well, Brian Kingman had been the last guy for a long time, and then didn't Mike Maroth with the Tigers lose 20 the year that they almost broke the Mets record for losses?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it was Maroth. That would have been 2003, maybe 3 or 4.
Kingman was with the A's, correct, when he lost to 20?
And he was very proud of having been the last guy to do it. That was in the early 80s.
Why would you want to be proud of it?
And he held that for, you know, more than 20 years. Here's the 1-2 and a tapper foul. You know, Jerry Koosman once lost 20 for the Mets. I think it was it the year, right? I think he won 20 in '76 and then lost 20 the next year.
He won his 20th game, his last start of the season at Shea Stadium, and against us, the Cardinals. I should say us, the Cardinals.
No, it was us at the time.
I did not play that game. I sat in the bench and watched him deal.
Little bloop behind first, and that lands foul. Yeah, 1976, Koosman went 21-10, and then 1977, he went 8-20. with a 3.49 ERA. That's tough. Of course, 1977 was the year the Mets traded away Tom Seaver on June the 15th, and things kind of went downhill after that.
They sure did.
Didn't really start to perk up here again until half a dozen years later when you arrived.
All those young players they got in that trade, none of them really panned out.
1-2 to Hannigan is too high. Well, the best of the quartet was Steve Henderson.
Did he win the Rookie of the Year? I don't believe so.
No, I don't think
With
so.
Henderson, Dan Norman,
Pat Zachary, and
Doug Flynn.
Yeah, Mike Maroff was 9-21 in 2003. How many did the Tigers lose that year? Was it 118, 119? Well, stolen base for Harris. Moves him into scoring position with 1 out. And a 3-2 count to Hannigan. So the Reds, who came into the day dead last in the National League in stolen bases, have swiped a pair today. And it's the backup guys, Cairo and Harris, who've done it. First of the year for Harris. Swing and a miss, and Hannigan's down on strikes. Good fastball by Rauch for the 2nd out.
Well, there you go. Rauch with his fastball again. He's a big guy, 6'11". We know that. He throws hard. He's got a good arm. Takes care of Hannigan.
So now Chris Heisey will pinch hit for Johnny Cueto. Heisey has been sitting out the last couple of days after tweaking a groin earlier in the week, but well enough to pinch hit here. Heisey hitting a .275, but he's 4 for 7 as a pinch hitter. That's pretty good. And he hits it right on the ground to Murphy, down to Anita, smother it, and he makes the play to end the inning. So Rauch works a hitless top of the 8th. Mets will try and go to work with the top of the order against the Reds bullpen on Father's Day. Mets are down 3-1. They're saying it every night. Help Me Howard's tackling swindlers and fighting for you. Plus, Greg Macher is always on the trail of something different. Weeknights at 5 and 10 on the Pix 11 News. Now Johnny Cueto out after 7 innings threw 111 pitches after throwing a complete game in 122 in his previous start. And a terrific day for Cueto. Only walked 1, and that 1 forced in the only run against him. And Jose Arredondo comes in to make his 2nd appearance in the series.
Well, one of these, another great arms out there in that Reds bullpen. Loves his changeup. He's got a turnover change. His 2nd outing of the year, he got ripped by 3 runs. But since that appearance, 29 appearances to be exact, he's got an ERA of 1.21.
Well, it's the biggest difference between these two teams. The Reds 10 games over 500. The Mets 4 games over 500. The Reds have had the best bullpen in the National League, and the Mets have had the worst. Reds with a bullpen ERA almost 3 runs per game better than the Mets. Kirk Neuenhuis, top of the batting order, leads off in the home 8th inning and takes a changeup for a strike.
A lot of times the ERAs from the bullpens and relievers can be deceptive. They can give up other people's runs, but in this case, this Red bullpen, they have been good.
Neuenhuis blooped a single to center his last time up. 1 for 3 on the day, and he flies this one out to right. Bruce got a late start in, but plenty of time to get there for the first out. So 1 out and nobody on. Omar Quintanilla coming up. We're talking about the 2003 Tigers, who lost 119 games, threatened the Mets record, and with a week to go it looked like they would lose at least 120, but then they won 5 of their last 6 games to avoid making history.
Now the Mets, the 62 Mets lost 120. How many?
120.
That was it?
Yeah, 40 and 120. 2 games rained out.
Oh boy.
Quintanilla 0 for 3 and now hitless in his last 10 at bats. Arredondo, who began his career as a setup man for Frankie Rodriguez with the Angels, worked a 1-2-3 inning on Friday night, and he's gotten his first batter here in the 8th tonight. Now the setup man, or one of them anyway, for Aroldis Chapman. Now Chapman has worked each of the last 2 days, and since he has gone to the bullpen this year, remember he competed as a starter in spring training, the Reds have not used him 3 days in a row. So it may well be that Dusty Baker will try and stay away from Chapman today.
Well, he can go to Sean Marshall, the other left-hander.
Popped up, shallow left center. And Harris will take care of it for the second out. So 2 out and nobody on. Let's see those bullpen numbers. And the strikeouts per 9 innings, 1 per game better than any other bullpen staff in the league. So they're blowing people away on a regular basis. And there is the aforementioned Aroldis Chapman. It looks like he may be taking the day off. Of course, Marshall was saving games before they moved Chapman into the closer's role. So they certainly have that option.
And they got Marshall from the Cubs.
And of course, none of that was supposed to be their plan this year. They signed Ryan Madson to be their closer, but Madson blew out his elbow before the season began. David Wright takes a strike. David's 0 for 3 today. Started the day with a 7-game hitting streak. Has flied out twice, and the Mets had a chance in the 5th inning with 2 men on against Cueto, but Wright banged into a double play, and they haven't had much of a chance since. And quickly Arredondo ahead 0-2. Fastball is high, 1-2. Wright trying to get aboard with Lucas Duda behind him. It's need to be in bloop and a blast mode now, down 2 runs in the 8th against this stellar Cincinnati bullpen.
Change up.
Pulled toward third, over the bag. Great diving stop by Cairo, but no chance to throw him out. He took away a double, but Wright has himself an infield hit. And the Mets will get the tying run to the plate with Duda.
And with no one up in that bullpen, there's no Sean Marshall to come in and face Duda. Nice play by Cairo. Boy, if he can get up and get a grip, he might have a chance to throw him out. The ball's hit that hard. But that's just a beautiful play.
Coming at you. So Duda, who leads the Mets in home runs with 10, at the plate as the tying run. Hit one that bounced off the fence in right field his last time up. And the changeup blown away for ball 1.
And the left-hander getting up now, and a little bit of urgency. All these left-handers in the lineup, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right on down the row. Surprised the left-hander wasn't up earlier, Garrett.
Behind Duda, you've got Davis, Murphy, and Tolle. Of course, the Mets have their lefty buster, Scott Hairston, in the dugout. 1-0 to Duda. And another changeup, that one for a strike, 1-1.
That's got to be a split finger. It's something to break down like that. That's wicked. If he could do that every time, that is a tough pitch.
Mike Davis would be next. Right at first and 2 down. And Duda lays off that one. 2-1. Hasn't seen a fastball yet. And Duda lays off and it misses high, and now it's 3-1. Well, he's thrown 4 splitters in a row. Is it time to see a fastball?
You got to keep the ball away here. It's all about keeping the ball in the ballpark. The one thing you don't want to give up here is the long ball. Another change.
3-1 coming. And he walked him, and the Mets have the tying runs on base with Ike Davis coming up. So after Arredondo set down the first 2, he gives up a bullet to right for an infield hit, and now a walk to Duda, and a chance for Davis to do damage, probably against the left-hander. Dusty Baker on his way out. He's got Sean Marshall up in the bullpen. And he makes the sign for the left-hander. So Arredondo unable to finish off the 8th. The call to the bullpen brought to you by Acura. Acura Advance. Mets with the tying runs on, and Davis coming up when we come back to Citi Field. Terry Collins will push the button and bring in Scott Hairston to bat for Ike Davis.
And Sean Marshall traded in the offseason from the Cubs to the Reds. That was the big guy in the trade. Coming back to the Cubs was Travis Wood, the left-hander. Veteran here. He started the season, as Gary said, as the closer. And Hairston has the most pinch hits for any Met. No, I'm sorry, second most to Mike Baxter.
Well, it's interesting in that Ike Davis has started to swing the bat well. 1 for 3 today, has an 8-game hitting streak going. And, you know, there was a time when you wouldn't bat for Davis in this spot against the lefty, but it appears that Terry is not quite convinced yet.
Well, most of the season, with Ike struggling, they were pinch hitting for Ike. And Ike's been getting it going a little bit here, but Terry opting to go with his #1 right-hand pinch hitter. Two pinch hit home runs for Hairston.
And great numbers against left-hand pitching all year. 7 of his 9 home runs have come against lefties. He bats here with the tying runs on base and 2 out. Hairston 2 for 5 in his career against Sean Marshall. So the Mets with their opportunity and the matchup they want here in the bottom of the 8th. And Hairston fouls off the first pitch fastball, 0-1. Frank Francisco hoping that the Mets can at least tie it.
Well, Terry Collins hoping for a 3-run bomb to put him out there with a 1-run lead.
You see the numbers for Marshall. 284 the right-handers are hitting against him. So from so many standpoints the move makes sense. And Terry opting to go with his lefty buster against Marshall, even if he has to pull a hot Ike Davis to do it. And Hairston gets another fastball to hit and fouls it back, and it's 0-2.
Oh, I'll tell you what, that was a rip right there. You know, when you pinch hit, you might just get one pitch to hit, and nothing you can do when you take a cut like that and you foul it back. Can't get cheated when you pinch hit. Hairston never gets cheated. Eight saves on the year for Marshall. But he's no longer in that role.
Now Hairston has to find out of a 2-strike hole. And the breaking ball wide, 1-2. Scott Hairston, a 3rd-generation big leaguer, was out on the field today with his sons Landon and Dallas, who hope to be 4th-generation big leaguers. Haven't been any of those yet. Maybe they'll be the first, unless there's a Bell or a Boone waiting. Marshall ahead 1-2 on Hairston. And the breaking ball bounced to 3rd. Cairo's got it. Goes the short way to get the force play. And the Mets are done in the bottom of the 8th. Marshall comes in to get the big out and keep it 3-1 Cincinnati going to the 9th. Let's begin their 3-game series with the Orioles. Visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX for your tickets now. R.A. Dickey opens the series tomorrow night, going for his 11th win. Vinny Rotino comes in to play first base after Davis left for the pinch hitter. He'll bat 9th. And Frank Francisco goes in the 5-hole.
You see Francisco's numbers coming down. That ERA was bloated over 8 not too long ago, but he's pitched well ever since that Toronto road trip, you remember, when he closed out the game closed out the last game with the 3 strikeouts. Last outing got the save in Tampa to secure the sweep. Struck out Ben Zobrist on what, that 3-2 split finger in a beautiful spot. Boy, what a pitch.
That was a game the Mets had a 5-run lead going to the 9th, and it got awfully dicey. You remember Quintanilla trying to get a play at second base and got there late, and Francisco walked a batter to fill the bases, and with the tying runs on base, got that big strikeout to end it. Top of the batting order for the Reds in the top of the 9th. As a squirrel runs across the field, split the difference between the mound and home plate. We got squirrels, we got pigeons, we got dads and kids. It is we got bobbleheads.
Where's the black cat?
Not to be seen yet. We got Seaver, though. Zach Cozart is 3 for 4 today. A bunt single in the 3rd. He doubled to left in the 5th and singled to center in the 7th. Wilson Valdez on deck, then Joey Votto in the 9th. And it's bounced foul by Cozart, 1-1. Chris Young went the first 7, allowed 9 hits, 3 runs, only 2 of them earned. Another good start for Young, but he's in danger of suffering his first loss since 2009. How many guys go 3 years without losing?
Guys that are on the DL.
John Roush worked a hitless 8th, and now Francisco trying to keep the Mets close in the 9th before Murphy, Tolley, and Torres come up in the bottom of the inning.
I'll tell you what, Chris Young, since coming off the DL, major surgery in his first 3 starts, has pitched wonderfully.
Well, his ERA after 3 starts is 3.06. And if that's what you're going to get from your 5th starter, you're thrilled. The Mets have really pitched pretty well in this series. I mean, Dylan G had a couple of tough innings early on Friday night, but then retired his last 10 batters.
Oh, Dylan has pitched so well and really didn't get any wins for it. And he had like 4 good starts in a row. He was maybe due for an off outing. I watched the early part of the game when he just didn't have command of any of his pitches. But then he settled down, though.
And then John Neese last night gave up the 3-run homer to Bruce in the first inning, but then he retired 12 of his last 13. Took the loss, but went 7 innings.
Well, you always like to see your pitchers when they get out shaky to find it, and particularly your young pitchers, G, Neese, that they have that capacity.
It just takes so much pressure off your bullpen, too, when even on the bad days, your starters can go 6 or 7 innings. Grounded foul. Well, tomorrow night, the Mets will have the most dominant knuckleball pitcher in history. I mean, how else can you put it after the way he pitched against the Rays last time?
I tell you what Ralph said when Ralph Kiner was here, and Ralph's been around a long time, called both playing the game and in the booth, that it's the hardest knuckleball he's ever seen, velocity-wise, and that's something else. That's high praise.
2-2 to Cozart, and the splitter bounces. Well, Dickey will go after his 11th win tomorrow night. He's 10-1 with a 2.2 ERA. He'll be matched up against an Orioles team that's playing awfully well. Jake Arrieta will start for the Orioles. Arrieta's been very up and down this year. Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night against the Orioles. Then the Yankees come in Friday for the weekend. This will be the 8th pitch of the at-bat to Cozart. And he pulls another one foul.
This is the second full season with Showalter, right? He's been there around 2.5 years over in Baltimore.
Right. They got off to the hot start last year.
So Buck's done a heck of a job with this club. I mean, that Oriole organization was a shambles. He's got them respectable now.
And they're up today in Atlanta. Cozart really making Francisco work. Now the 10th pitch of the at-bat. And Cozart bangs one down to first. Buratino will take it himself. 1 away. So Francisco wins that battle. 1 out of the 9th. In that game for the Orioles today, Wei-Yin Chen, who has been spectacular, the pitcher from Taiwan, 7 scoreless innings against the Braves. And the Orioles are up 2-0 late.
Well, I tell you what, over in the American League in that AL West, you remember that terrible start that the Angels got off to? Well, they're over 500 now, and they're only 4 behind Texas. They made it quite a climb.
And last night, Irvin Santana tried to become the second Santana to pitch a no-hitter this year. Took a perfect game into the 7th. Well, coming up next on Pix 11, it's the best of both worlds. And coming up on SNY, it's WB Mason post-game live. Wilson Valdez 1 for 4 today. And he hits one off the fist to second base. Murphy waits on it and makes the play on Valdez 2 away. Can't hit a ground ball much softer than that.
That's called getting jammed so badly that you can't even break your bat. It's happened to me a few times too. Trust me.
Now, how badly do you have to get jammed that you can't break your bat?
It's just you sit there and it's amazing. How did that bat not break?
Here's Joey Votto with 2 out and nobody on. Has a couple of singles today. 2 for 3 and an intentional walk. Well, the Phillies lost again today, 6-2 in Toronto. That's 12 losses in their last 15 games. And Charlie Manuel, after last night, really, I mean, he said it all. He said, we can't play. He said, we're terrible. He said, we can't do anything right. And there's an ugly swing by Votto on the splitter, and it's 0-2.
Don't see too many of those swings. You know, Charlie's a straight shooter too. The Phillies are reeling, and you know, you just don't know how Utley and Howard are going to be when they come back.
Utley's out on rehab now, so it looks like he's not all that far away. But how much can they do to revamp everything that's wrong with the Phillies right now? Now it's 1-2 on Joey Votto. Well, the loss today puts the Phillies 6 games under 500. And the entire division fortunate that the Yankees have gone into Washington and taken the first 2 of that series, and they're up 3-1 in the 7th today.
And that's Ivan Nova pitching today for the Yankees. Gosh, he's going for his 9th win.
Well, Ivan Nova was 16-4 last year. Here's the 1-2. And the breaking ball hit into center field, a base hit for Votto. So he went to the curveball for the first time in the inning. And Votto picks up his 3rd hit of the day.
Just good hitting. You see, Votto wasn't trying to overswing with 2 strikes. It's a curveball, slider, curve. Look at that, nice, easy, like almost like a hockey swing. And that is a nice angle right there for that swing. That's just got 2 strikes. You're in the hole, behind the count, and you got a tough pitcher like Francisco. You just get a base hit.
So now Brandon Phillips with 2 out and a runner at first. Phillips 1 for 4. And another ugly swing. This one on the fastball from Francisco.
That's not a bad pitch. And watch him hustling. Look at the hard turn here.
You should do that every time, shouldn't you?
Absolutely. You never know. A ball, it's not so much that the ball can get into the gap. It's if you catch an outfielder asleep, or he might muff it. You make the hard turn and the outfielder kicks it. You're already in motion, full speed around that base. You can go to second. Good hustle.
Two and 1 to Phillips. Mets have action in the bullpen in a non-save situation. They don't want Francisco throwing too many pitches. So it may be if he doesn't get Phillips, they might bring in Burdack to try and get Bruce out. It's always the danger when you bring your closer into these non-save situations. You burn him out for the next day. 2-1 to Phillips, and it's in for a letter high strike. 2-2. Bobby Parnell up alongside. It's been a while since Parnell's been in the game, since last Thursday. Now the 2-2 to Phillips, and he bangs one on the ground to Murphy. And so Francisco pitches a scoreless top of the ninth. And the Mets will come up with their final hope, trying to avoid getting swept with Murphy to lead off in the bottom of the ninth. This year, they'll try to avoid that fate in the last of the ninth against Sean Marshall, who came on to get the last out in the eighth. We mentioned earlier that the Reds have not used Aroldis Chapman 3 days in a row, and with Chapman having worked the first 2 games of the series, Dusty Baker clearly trying to stay away from him today. Daniel Murphy will lead off in the bottom of the ninth. Tolle and Torres scheduled to follow. Murphy 1 for 3 on the day. And he takes the breaking ball strike from Marshall, 0-1.
Boy, big curveball right there. Wow. Look at this big bender. That'll buckle your world.
That's with 2 left-hand bats up against Marshall to start this ninth inning. Tolle is on deck. Now the Mets have Justin Turner on the bench. Remember, Turner was activated yesterday when Jason Bay went on the disabled list. They also have Mike Nicky is still available in the dugout, but Tolle for the moment is out on deck. Behind him is the switch hitting Andres Torres. And Murphy bangs one foul.
They've been pitching Murph lately a little bit more inside, particularly the left-handers. And, you know, any good hitter doesn't like a hard sinker in. It's been giving Murph a little bit of trouble. Gives a lot of guys trouble. Murph only hitting .258 against left-handers this year. Thus far. Long way to go.
Now Marshall's ahead of him 1-2. And Murphy takes low and away. Fastball 2-2.
Well, you're down 2 runs. Murph's job is he cannot hit a 3-run home run. Can't hit a 2-run home run. You've got to get on base. You get it started.
Well, so far this year he hasn't hit any home runs.
That's true. Didn't think of that.
Marshall handles the comebacker, and Murphy retired 1 out. So now Tolle will bat with 1 out and nobody on. Keep in mind Rotino is in the 9 hole, so you've got Torres, a switch hitter behind Tolle, and then you've got Rotino, another right-hand hitter. But Terry Collins is holding back Justin Turner.
You can see the defense. You never want to get anything over your head, but Tolle hasn't got a lot of power. In left field out there, Willie Harris playing shallow for left field. And you think that they would shade totally a little more to the opposite field, particularly center field out there, Wilson Valdez. But they're pretty much straight up.
Willie has yet to make his requisite spectacular catch against the Mets this afternoon. Seems like he made a lot more great catches against the Mets than he did when he played for them.
Yes.
One coming to Tolley, and he pulls off the slider and misses, and now it's 1-2.
Nope, he went after a bad slider here, out of the strike zone.
Marshall looking for the 4-out save this afternoon. Now the 1-2. And Tolley lays off that one, and it's 2-2. Really throwing a nice variety of breaking balls, Marshall. Sliders and curveballs. The guy who was traded for, Travis Wood, has yet to win a game for the Cubs. 0-3 in 6 starts. So the Reds have gotten the better of that deal so far. Tolley bloops one to shallow left. Cozart going out, and he makes the grab. 2 away. Cozart has made all the plays in this series, and he swung the bat well too. Good looking rookie shortstop.
Well, they're high on him, that's for sure. Mets are down to their last chance here, last out.
Well, Andres Torres trying to get on base in front of Vinny Rotino, who's always a threat to hit the ball out of the ballpark. Torres 0 for 3 today, and both corners on the infield come in against the threat of the bunt. And Andres takes the breaking ball for ball 1. Now Torres getting to bat right-handed for the first time today, and he's hitting .333 as a right-hand batter. See Votto and Cairo both in. And Torres takes a slider for a strike, 1-1. Now the Reds are trying to win their 6th in a row and enhance their lead in the National League Central. Mets swept Tampa Bay, came home, and now 1 out away from getting swept. And that wraps around the outside corner for a strike, and it's 1-2.
Well, Marshall's really got his curveball working today. And he knows it, and he's going to it. Gets the back door there.
Not sure that ever crossed the plate. Here's the 1-2 coming. And Torres goes down on the fastball, and the ball game is over. So for the first time this year, the Mets are swept in a home series as the Reds get great pitching, hold the Mets to just 5 runs in the 3 games. Johnny Cueto beats the Mets for the first time in his career as the Reds win it 3-1 to sweep the 3-game series.
Well, the Mets just were too much Cueto today. And Cueto, there he is right there. Pitched really a fine ball game. Impressive. Stayed down in the strike zone. Hit the corners. The Reds scored the deciding runs in the 5th, a 3-run 5th. 1 unearned run due to his errant throw to third base. But that wouldn't have mattered. It still would have ended 2-1. So too much Reds pitching here. And the Mets, after a sweep in Tampa, come home and the first place Reds in the Central just take care of business.
Well, Chris Young suffers his first loss since June the 14th of 2009, more than 3 years ago. Pitched well today, gave up just 2 earned runs in 7 innings, but Cueto was better. Gets his 8th win of the year, his first ever victory against the Mets. The game summary brought to you by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. Sean Marshall, his first save of more than an inning this year as he gets 4 outs with Chapman unavailable, and he strikes out Andres Torres to end it and complete the sweep for Cincinnati here at Citi Field. Reds win it today 3-1. We'll come back with much more from Flushing in just a moment.